Returning home after a half-year business trip, my wife jumped into my arms saying she wanted a child. Yet this action instantly aroused my deep suspicion. Could she already be pregnant and trying to make me a cuckold taking the blame? After all, I'm constantly away on business trips. If she brought other men over, I wouldn't even know. To clear my wife's name and prove her innocence, the next day I installed hidden cameras in every single room of the house and told my wife the company had an emergency requiring a business trip. Afterward, I headed to a rented apartment I had prepared beforehand, opened my phone, and started monitoring every single move at home. For a whole week, my wife was completely normal. Until the eighth day, after putting on a gorgeous, lovely makeup look, she happily headed out the door. I instantly assumed she was going out on a date, so I drove the rented car and kept my eyes glued tightly on the downstairs entrance. Not long after I caught sight of my wife's figure, I got out of the car and carefully followed behind her, discovering that her destination was the local vegetable market. A wave of relief instantly washed over my heart. An hour later, my wife returned home carrying a massive bag of groceries. So I went back to the car to continue observing. On the screen, after placing the groceries on the table, my wife took out her phone and dialed a phone call. When are you heading over? Another 3 hours. All right, I got it. Who could be coming over? My heart instantly leaped straight up to my throat. After enduring 3 agonizing hours, suddenly a knock sounded at the door and my wife happily went to open it, only to see a man walking straight into the living room. Looking at that man, my brain instantly short-circuited. I recognized this person. It was my wife's company executive Yang Jun, watching them eat while chatting and laughing away. As intimate as an actual married couple. I felt like my head was about to explode. Right now, I genuinely wanted to rush up and tear this pair of scumbags apart. Yet my reason told me I needed to wait a bit longer. I had to catch them red-handed in the act. An hour later, they finished eating and headed straight to the bedroom. At this moment, even though my heart was blazing with towering rage, my face didn't show a single trace of it as I smiled. Only that this smile carried an unbearable bitterness. I never expected this would be the final result. Working my ass off to earn money frantically, just so I could give her a proper home. A 300,000 down payment. God knows how much hardship I endured, and after finally buying a house and getting married, it's barely been a single year, and she actually pulled off a stunt like this. Looking at those utterly grotesque and foul scenes on my phone screen, the corners of my mouth slowly cracked into a bizarre, eerie arc. Immediately after I exited the live surveillance feed and dialed the emergency police hotline using a burner SIM card registered by a friend, I want to report a crime. Building 6 apartment 502 Kienjin Garden residential area. It looks like a woman is currently being violated and assaulted. I heard faint screams of a woman coming from inside. If you guys don't come right now, she might end up dead in a bit. I kindly ask that you strictly keep my identity information confidential. I'm afraid that criminal might come looking for revenge against me later. After hanging up, I dialed a journalist's hotline next. There's a massive explosive piece of breaking news here. A major felony case is happening at Building 6 of Tianjin Garden residential area. You guys need to rush over right now. I ignored the reporter's rapid-fire questioning and hung up the phone straight away. Sitting in the car, I lit a mosquito coil and muttered, Liu Li, you're willing to throw away even your own reputation for this. Let's play slowly phone. Reconnecting back to the wretched, unbearable footage. As I watched, I began critiquing and commenting, the guy isn't even handsome, and his physique isn't as good as mine either. Though he's a project manager after all, maybe he has a bit more cash than me. Liu Li, if you betrayed our marriage just because of this. I must have been truly blind. Not long after several police cars arrived on the scene, following the arrival of the police, people all around various corners of the residential complex started paying close attention to the situation here. Gawking at juicy gossip is simply human nature after all. Shortly after the cops headed upstairs, I saw that sharp reporter, carrying a camera and following right behind them too. I smiled even more happily. And as I smiled, a few tears slipped down the corners of my eyes. Roughly half an hour later, the police escorted out a fully dressed Liu Li along with Yang Jun and got into the police cruiser. That shrewd reporter was hiding quietly inside the crowd taking photos. The surrounding onlookers were also pulling out their phones to post on social media. I heard this is a home invasion and assault, you know. This guy is totally human trash. Bullshit, where on earth did you hear that news? Let me tell you guys, okay, that woman lives right upstairs from me. Her husband is constantly away on business trips. And every time he was away on business, I constantly heard noises coming from upstairs. She was obviously cheating and hooking up with other men. Originally, I was even thinking about finding a chance to tell her husband about it. Now it looks like her husband's lungs are probably going to burst from anger. I can guarantee that the two of them are completely viral and trending now. Along with it, I'm gonna get to experience what it feels like to be a celebrity. My goal has already been achieved. Next up is just waiting for the police to notify family members to pick them up. Right now, I really want to see, when my wife sees me later, What kind of expression she'll make? Not long after returning to the rented apartment, I received a phone call from the police. This is the Nanchang Public Security Bureau. May I ask if this is Mr. Wang? My brows and eyes carried a smile. Yet I replied in a bewildered, confused tone, "It's me. May I ask what this is about?" "We received a report stating your wife was violated by someone." However, before that cop could even finish speaking, I anxiously cut him off. "Are you saying my wife was bullied by someone?" "My wife is Lu Li. Is that really her or not?" The police officer advised, "Sir, please don't get excited yet." How could I possibly not get excited? What on earth happened to my wife? Having been interrupted twice in a row, this time the cop raised his tone and said, "Sir, listen to me first. Your wife was not violated at all." I pretended to heave a sigh of relief and said, That's great, that's great. Thank goodness Liu Li is fine." However, she cheated. Through our investigation, they engaged in it voluntarily on their own accord. The police's untimely remark here left me speechless and silent for a long, long time. Acting like a completely shattered and devastated man, Mr. Wang. Are you okay? I know this is a bit hard for you to accept, but you need to stay strong. Make sure you don't do anything foolish. My voice was filled with a deep bitterness. I'm fine, it's just that this news came way too suddenly. I need some time to process and digest it. Right. You didn't tell my parents-in-law about this, did you? Her mom and dad are already in their 50s, and their health isn't that great. They probably can't handle such a blow. The person on the other end of the line fell silent for a moment and said, "I'm sorry. My partner already called the two elders just a moment ago. They are currently on their way over right now." The corners of my mouth twitched upward into a faint, subtle smile, as I feigned anxiety and said, "I'll head over right now too." After saying that line, I hung up the phone, casually tossed my phone aside, and lay down on the bed. "Liu Li, let's see how you're going to face your parents. I remember your dad seems to have a heart condition, right? Wonder if he'll be pissed to death by you." After letting out a cold sneer, I began to ponder what kind of attitude I should use to face them later. It wasn't until 12 midnight that I finally packed my things and headed to the police station. The moment I stepped out of the car, I put on an anxious look and rushed into the police station. My posture and demeanor carried a suppressed fury. Liu Li sat on the chair with vacant, hollow eyes. The moment she saw me, she lowered her head in deep shame and guilt. After negotiating and sorting things out with the police officer for a bit, I slowly walked over to my wife's side and gently grasped her hand. Liu Li tried to pull away and dodge, but was firmly grabbed and held tight by me. I softly questioned her, "Honey, can you tell me why? Was I not good enough to you?" Liu Li turned her body away to avoid me and simply remained silent. Just as I wanted to say something more, suddenly my phone rang. After taking a glance at it, I said to Liu Li, "Our mom and dad are calling. You can choose not to tell me the truth. Just figure out how you're going to explain this to the two elders." After finishing, I walked off to the side and started taking the phone call. "What? Dad, how did your heart condition act up again?" "I'm at the police station. I'm bringing Liu Li over right now." I turned my head and looked at Liu Li. "What are you still standing around blankly for? Let's go." "Your dad was practically angered into the hospital by you. What kind of things can be discussed slowly when we get back." On the drive over, I rolled down the car window, and after letting the cold wind blow for a bit, I suddenly asked Liu Li, "Are you pregnant?" Liu Li blankly looked out the window without saying a word. I continued speaking. "If you still want to keep living this life and go on, then get rid of this child and abort it. I don't believe this child is mine, nor is it possible for me to raise someone else's kid." Liu Li continued to maintain her silence the whole way. This shock was probably something she couldn't snap out of anytime soon. Driving and arriving at the city hospital, we found my mother-in-law, Wang Shuqin, outside the emergency room. Sitting right next to her was Liu Li's uncle. I ran up in front of my mother-in-law and squatted down, asking in a nervous, anxious tone, "Mom, how is Dad doing? Is he in any danger?" Wang Shuqin looked at me and hastily grabbed my hand, saying, "Xiao Wang, I'm sorry. It's our fault for not raising our daughter, right, and bringing shame upon you. Mom, let's talk about this later. Dad's surgery fees haven't been paid yet, right? I'll go pay the surgery fees first." Wang Shuqin grabbed hold of my hand tightly and said with a look of shame, "Xiao Wang, how could we possibly use your money anymore?" I patted her hand and said, "Mom, you and Dad have both been so good to me. I'm an orphan, and it was you two elders who allowed me to experience family warmth. Even without this connection to Liu Li, I should still be the one paying." Gently pulling my hand free from my mother-in-law's grip, I turned around and walked toward the payment counter. My mother-in-law watched my retreating back, opened her mouth but couldn't get a single word out. The sense of guilt in her heart made her feel utterly ashamed and unworthy. My mother-in-law walked up right in front of Liu Li. Liu Li lowered her head and called out timidly and nervously, "Mom. Don't call me Mom. I don't have a shameless daughter like you." Wang Shuqin raised her hand and slapped Liu Li hard across the face. "Xiao Wang is such a wonderful kid. and yet you actually went and did something like this. Think about how you're going to explain yourself. Liu Li grabbed Wang Shuqin's hand and cried out, Mom, I'm sorry, I must have been out of my mind and possessed by a ghost. Please forgive me this one time. Wang Shuqin forcefully pulled her hand free and ignored her daughter, instead walking back to the chair and staring anxiously at the operating room. After paying the fees, I walked back. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, I saw Liu Li standing all alone and isolated off to the side. The corners of my mouth curled up into a faint, subtle smile. I walked over, sat beside my mother-in-law, and consoled her mom. Don't worry, Dad will be fine. I've already paid the surgery fees. If it's not enough later, I'll pay more. Wang Shuqin felt both deeply ashamed and touched Xiao Wang. This time, we are the ones who failed you and wronged you. Even if you want to divorce Xiao Li, we have nothing to say against it. We won't take a single penny of your money, and we will figure out a way to pay you back for the medical expenses you covered. Mom, let's talk about this after we get back. At this moment, Liu Li looked somewhat miserable and choked up. After struggling internally several times, she slowly walked over and dropped to her knees without a single hesitation, saying in a tearful, sobbing tone, Hubby, I'm sorry I was wrong. Forgive me this once. I was only momentarily blinded by a ghost. I promise you, I will never ever do anything to betray or wrong you again in the future. I Chenjuo reached out to help Liu Li up. This is a hospital. Whatever we need to discuss, let's talk about it when we get home. Yet Liu Li still tearfully hugged on to me. My mother-in-law got up and slapped Liu Li across the face. Get up. Do you still not feel like you've disgraced us enough? This is a hospital. Liu Li stared in shock and disbelief at Wang Shuqin. She originally thought that with her mom here, she could play the victim pitifully and get me to forgive her. Even if it was just a hypocritical, insincere sentence, it could still give her a glimmer of hope. Yet she never expected in a million years that her own mother wouldn't take her side or help her. I flashed a look of utter disdain and sneered. I knew crystal clear what she was thinking inside. I can only say this is just a childish little trick. A person who could even throw away her own reputation like that. How could she possibly not be able to handle these weird, strange stares from others after keeping watch the entire night? My father-in-law finally came out of the operating room. Inside the ward, my father-in-law hadn't woken up yet. Looking at them, I said, Mom, you and Uncle are getting up there in age. Go get some rest first. How can I possibly let you stay here watching? Xiao Wang, you're exhausted too. Head back and get some rest first. Besides, the matter between you and Liu Li still needs you guys to go back and discuss a final verdict. Seeing my mother-in-law insist, I didn't push back or decline any further. After heading downstairs to buy a few portions of breakfast, I took Liu Li and left the hospital. Back at home, Liu Li didn't even bother changing her shoes. Walked straight up in front of me and dropped to her knees. Hubby, I was wrong. I'll never ever dare to do it again. A trace of disgust flashed across the depths of my eyes, yet I didn't reach out to help her up at all. I'm really curious why you chose to do something like this. Could it really be because you couldn't stand the loneliness? Hubby, I really was wrong. I promise you I will never do it again in the future. Do you really expect me to still believe your promises? Without waiting for Liu Li to speak, I had already guessed that since I was constantly away from home, a woman with a bit of looks like her naturally wouldn't lack pursuers around her. Liu Li couldn't hold it in anymore and burst into tears. Reaching out to hug my leg, she pleaded, Hubby, I beg you to give me one more chance. I will definitely make up for this mistake. I'll quit my job tomorrow and stay home full time. Hubby just beat me up or hit me. If that can make you feel even a little bit better inside. I pushed Liu Li away and just stared at her like that, raising one hand up and swinging it down viciously with a harsh slaps. Liu Li closed her eyes tight without dodging or ducking. Yet as the slap came down, there was no sound at all. Turns out I had softened the force and changed it into a gentle caress instead. With tender eyes, I caressed her cheek softly. How could I ever bring myself to hit you? I just can't bring myself to do it. Liu Li once again lost control and hugged me tightly. Hubby, please forgive me, okay? Just don't divorce me. From now on, let's live our lives steadily and peacefully. We'll see how you perform and act. If I were to just forgive you like this, I wouldn't be resigned to it at all. Liu Li was overjoyed beyond measure. I will definitely perform well and show you. I promise you'll get to see my changes. Even though I didn't explicitly express my forgiveness toward her, I also didn't forcefully bring up a divorce, which proved to her that there was still hope. I held Liu Li in my arms and walked over to the bedroom. Looking at that bed, I suddenly stopped my footsteps in my tracks. Liu Li was smart. She knew that this bed reminded me of certain unpleasant scenes and images. She hurriedly got down from my arms and said, Hubby, don't look at it anymore. I'll have this bed thrown out right now. I didn't say a word and instead turned around to head toward the balcony. Liu Li looked at my retreating back without coming over, knowing that I needed some time alone to cool down and calm my thoughts right now. Liu Li started making phone calls to have people come over to move things out. and ordered some brand new furniture to be delivered over as well. Of course, all of this was paid for using her own personal money. By noontime, every single eyesore thing in this house had been completely replaced from top to bottom, especially that bed. Liu Li walked up to my side and called out timidly and nervously, "Hubby, dinner is ready." I walked toward the dining table with a blank, expressionless face. After finishing our meal, we packed up lunch and headed to the hospital to visit her mom and dad. I found a table and laid out the dishes. Wang Shuqin frowned and asked, "Where is that dead girl?" I explained Liu Li is waiting outside the door. She's afraid that if Dad wakes up and sees her, his condition might act up again. So she didn't come inside? Wang Shuqin cursed if she cared about that kind of thing. She wouldn't have gone and done such a shameless, disgraceful thing in the first place. I only smiled, as if I wasn't angered by it at all. While they were eating their meal, I sat right beside the hospital bed, keeping watch and taking care of him. Not sure if it was just an illusion on my part. I felt like I saw my father-in-law's fingers twitch for a split second. And in the blink of an eye, I saw that my father-in-law had already opened his eyes. I quickly stepped forward and said, "Dad, you're awake. Do you feel any discomfort anywhere in your body?" My mother-in-law and uncle, who were in the middle of eating, upon hearing my voice, they hurriedly put down their bowls and chopsticks and crowded around, while Liu Li raised her head outside the hospital room, peering in to watch the inside. Wang Shuqin stepped forward and asked old Liu, "How are you feeling? Is there anywhere that feels uncomfortable?" Although Liu Huaxun was still somewhat weak, he still kept a stern face as he looked at the people around him. Not seeing the person he wanted to see, he said with a hint of anger, "Well, look at that. The daughter I raised for all these years turns out to be less reliable than my son-in-law. When I'm sick and lying in bed, she doesn't even bother to come take a look." I explained, "Dad, it's not like that. She's right outside. She was worried that seeing her would trigger another relapse of your condition, so she didn't dare to come in." Liu Huaxun let out a cold huff, called her in. After glancing at Wang Shuqin, I walked out of the hospital room and pulled Liu Li inside. Liu Li looked at her stern-faced father, lowered her head in a mix of shame and fear, and called out in a voice so faint it was barely audible, "Dad. Don't call me Dad. I don't have a shameless daughter like you." Liu Li dropped to her knees with a loud thud right on the floor, crying as she said, "Dad, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong." I have to admit, I was starting to admire her a bit. Just look at how practiced and fluid that kneeling motion was. After struggling for a moment, Liu Huaxun tried to sit up, but his body was simply too weak. Seeing him look at Liu Li, he said, "Little Wang, I know you got anger bottled up inside. Go ahead and slap her for me." I stared blankly at Liu Huaxun, at a loss for how to respond for a moment. Part of me genuinely wanted to strike her, yet another part worried this might be some kind of trap, seeing that I still hadn't made a move after all this time. Liu Huaxun continued, "What's the matter? You don't even have the guts to hit a woman. Are you even a real man or what?" Seeing that he had put it that way, I didn't hesitate any longer. I raised my hand and delivered a hard. The crisp sound of the slap echoed through the hospital room for a long time. Only then did Liu Huaxun's expression look a little better. He was essentially forcing me to hit his own daughter. He deliberately wanted to make the resentment inside my heart burst out completely. Only by doing this could this marriage possibly be salvaged and saved. Even though Liu Li took a heavy, powerful slap, she was actually very happy because I hit her, which meant that she still had a chance to win back my forgiveness. Continuing with a backhand motion, I threw yet another slap, landing straight onto the other side of her face. Continuing, but this time I stopped my hand. Looking at Liu Li's swollen cheeks on both sides, I opened my mouth to intercede and plead, "Forget it. I've hit her enough. Calm your anger down." Liu Hua turned his head to look out the window and said, "Since you're already pleading for her, then let's just leave it at that. Take her back with you. I don't want to look at her anymore. As for the affairs between the two of you, we won't interfere anymore. Whether you divorce or continue living together, it's entirely up to your call. We won't harbor a single shred of complaint." I opened my mouth slightly, and in the end didn't say anything more. "Get some good rest. Call me anytime if anything comes up." After finishing, I took Liu Li and left the hospital ward. Liu Li followed right behind me, acting as obedient as a child. Looking at those red and swollen cheeks of hers, I reached out and gently stroked them. "Does it still hurt?" Liu Li's eyes turned red as she shook her head continuously. "Come with me. I'll take you to get treated and cleaned up." Afterward, I brought Liu Li to find a doctor to treat her injuries. Looking at the thoroughly exhausted and haggard Liu Li, I said, "Since we're already here, let's just do a full comprehensive body checkup." Liu Li looked at me, knowing that saying anything right now was useless. She cooperated with my demands and completed a full set of medical examinations. Liu Li wanted to use hard facts to prove and tell me that she wasn't pregnant at all. When we received the test results, after casually flipping through them roughly, I tossed them to Liu Li and said, "Let's go. We're heading home." Between Liu Li's brows and eyes carried a trace of a smile, as she followed behind me filled with overflowing joy. Whenever we used to walk together in the past, we always walked side by side or Liu Li walked ahead of me. This time, however, Liu Li was walking behind and following me. The hierarchy and status within this household had already completely shifted. Back at home, I sat on the couch writing my resignation letter. Because this job required constant business trips away from home. If I'm not home, how on earth would I have time to fix and improve our marital relationship? Therefore, resigning was an absolute necessity. As soon as Liu Li returned home, she started cleaning the house. She didn't dare let herself stay idle for a single second. She needed to work hard to prove and display her value. Yet she also didn't dare come over to bother or disturb me. Terrified that she might piss me off and make me unhappy again? Actually, if Liu Li were to propose a divorce right now at this moment, my subsequent plans wouldn't even be able to be executed and put into motion. Pity for her. She didn't have the courage to face the condemnation and scolding from her family's relatives. And I was the absolute last one she could grab onto like a life-saving straw. She had also flipped through the news and looked at the internet just a moment ago. Right now, she could basically be considered famous and infamous all across Nancheng. The moral condemnation and backlash she was facing right now was more than enough to completely ruin her entire life. Liu Li could only cower behind me and barely survive on her last breaths now, watching the busy Liu Li bustling about, the corners of my mouth hooked upward into a cold sneer, and treating her just like an ordinary servant. I ordered her pour me a cup of tea and bring it over. Liu Li hastily put down the work in her hands to pour tea for me. Right now, she could only try her best to coax and appease me, so I wouldn't bring up a divorce. After a brief moment, she brought over a cup of tea and placed it on the table right beside me, stealing a glance at the content on my laptop screen with her eyes. She asked hubby, "Are you resigning?" I retorted with a question of my own. If I don't resign, should I wait for you to cuckold me a second time? Even though this was a biting, sarcastic mockery, Liu Li felt extremely happy inside her heart. She knew deep down that I had already forgiven her in my heart. Otherwise, I wouldn't have used the word again to express it. "Hubby, what do you want to eat tonight?" "I'll cook it for you." Whatever. After finishing writing the resignation letter, I clicked send. Not long after, my boss called Xiao Wang. "I saw the news about your situation. Even with all that, there's no need for you to go and resign, right? I can grant you a few days of paid leave to let you sort out and handle your divorce matters." I raised my head and glanced in the direction of the kitchen and said, "I'm sorry. I don't plan on getting a divorce." The person on the other end of the line seemed completely stunned and said in sheer disbelief, "You? What on earth are you thinking? With your current conditions, it's not like you can't find another woman. Plus, you're still young. Can't you show some of that young person's backbone and guts?" I have my own thoughts and plans. Besides, she was my first love. I just can't let her go. That's it for now. Please approve my resignation. We can chat again when there's a chance in the future. After saying that, I hung up the phone. At this exact moment, I could clearly sense that the sound of vegetables being chopped in the kitchen grew a bit lighter and more upbeat. I said those words entirely for her to hear on purpose. Following that, I opened the internet and started browsing through information. As soon as I went in, I stumbled across what happened last night. After scrolling down and glancing over the comment section below, seeing it filled with a chorus of curses and abuse, I finally felt at ease. With a blank expression, I exited the app, turned off my phone, closed my eyes, and began to deep dive into thought. Now that my job is gone, it's also about time to look for a new job. Otherwise, the 100,000 bucks on me won't last very long at all. However, this job needs to be somewhere close to home. After finishing our meal, I drove the car to deliver food to the hospital. This time, I didn't bring Liu Li along with me. It's also about time to leave her with some alone space for herself. Looking through the surveillance cameras, Liu Li was sitting on the couch, hugging her knees all by herself, her phone glowing faintly, clearly looking at social media. Yet not long after looking at it, she buried her head and burst into agonizing tears. Knowing she was probably looking at those online videos and harsh comments, was she already having a total mental breakdown over this? Where are we even at in this game yet? I let out a cold sneer and turned off the phone screen, concentrating on driving all the way to the hospital, carrying the dinner boxes as I walked into the wardroom. "Mom and Dad, let's eat first." Yuhua looked at me and said, "Shuqin, you head outside for a bit. I want to have a private chat with Xiao Wang." Wang Shuqin opened her mouth slightly. Yet without saying anything, she walked out of the room. "Xiao Wang, can you tell me what your true thoughts are inside? Are you going to get this divorce or not?" I knew he was testing the waters to probe my stance and reaction. So I feigned a conflicted, torn expression and replied, "Dad, to be honest, I don't even know what I should do anymore. Liu Li was my very first love. Yet she went and did a thing like this. I simply can't bring myself to forgive her either. I'm honestly so torn and conflicted right now. Dad, please give me some guidance and talk some sense into me. If things keep going like this, I feel like I'm genuinely going to have a breakdown. Liu Hua patted my shoulder and said, Xiao Wang, this time we truly failed you and wronged you. It's my fault for failing to educate and raise her properly. To the point where she committed such a shameful act that ruins our family reputation. If you don't want to get a divorce, I will properly discipline and educate her, to make her honestly and obediently live her life with you. If she ever dares to commit this kind of mistake again, then you won't even need to lift a finger. I'll break her legs myself. I looked at Liu Hua with a touched expression, knowing that my father-in-law wasn't just saying those words lightly for show. If Liu Li ever dared to make another mistake, he really would hack her legs off, Liu Hua said with a look of deep guilt. Xiao Wang, this news has already spread everywhere by now, right? Hasn't your job been affected by it as well? I feigned nonchalance and ease, it's fine. I've wanted to change jobs for a long time anyway. With my qualifications and experience, I can make money doing pretty much anything. Liu Hua said, I'm old and can't help you with much. But if there's anything you ever need me for, I will definitely never decline or refuse. Originally, he already treated me like a member of the family. This time my actions made him even more deeply moved and touched. My status and standing in his heart now completely surpassed that of his own biological daughter. Dad, just focus on resting and recovering from your illness right now. I'll make sure everything is handled and sorted out properly. You also know that I'm an orphan. Actually, over this past year, I've already come to treat you and Mom as my own actual parents. The reason I didn't divorce Liu Li this time, on one hand, is because I can't let her go. On the other hand, is because I can't bear to part with you two elders. Because from the two of you, I felt the genuine warmth of family. After saying that, I didn't turn back to look at Liu Hua's expression. Without looking, I knew for sure he must feel extremely guilty and deeply moved. He was probably already cursing Liu Li out in anger inside his heart. I walked outside the hospital ward and welcomed my mother-in-law Wang Shuqin back inside. After finishing dinner with them, I packed up my things and prepared to leave. Yet right as I walked out the ward door, I turned back around. Tonight, I'll stay here to keep Dad company. You head home and get some sleep first. Driving to drop my mother-in-law, Wang Shuqin, back at the residential complex. I didn't even get out of the car as I said, Mom, Liu Li is at home. Go on up by yourself. I'm heading back to the hospital first. I didn't head straight back to the hospital though. Instead, I found a parking spot at the hospital and parked the car. Pulled out my phone and started watching the live surveillance feed. As soon as I opened the app, I saw an unbelievable sight. Liu Li, oh Liu Li, tell me how I'm supposed to talk to you. Look at the good thing you've gone and done. Xiao Wang is such an amazing, wonderful young guy. Are you still not satisfied? And yet you still went out and messed around. Did you ever think about his feelings? Did you ever think about mine and your dad's feelings? What you did doesn't just make Xiao Wang lose face and dignity. You're trying to have our spines snapped and broken by people's gossip. Right now, I can already hear the neighbors living to our left and right in the village talking behind our backs about me and your dad. They're definitely going to say that it's us who raised and taught such a promiscuous daughter. Raising a daughter to be like this is truly a disgrace. Mom, I beg you to stop scolding me. I really was wrong. I'll never dare to do it again. Liu Li hugged her head and wept bitterly. Right. Just like that, scold her. Isolate her and ignite her sense of shame and guilt. Only by doing this can she truly feel the pain. There was no need to keep watching after this point. I put away my phone and drove toward the hospital. Arriving at the ward, seeing that my father-in-law wasn't asleep yet, I called out, "Why aren't you resting yet?" Saying that Dad pulled over a stool and sat right in front of the hospital bed. I can't sleep. Xiao Wang, I'm totally fine. You should go back and get some rest. I grabbed a piece of fruit and started peeling it as I said, how could that possibly work? If I went back, I guarantee Mom would make a fuss demanding to come over instead. Yet, I want to be by myself for a little while. I raised my head and glanced at my father-in-law Dad. Stop thinking about all those annoying, stressful things. You should get to sleep early instead. Only after you fall asleep can I sleep too. I haven't closed my eyes for an entire night. Just do me a favor and take care of me a bit. Go to sleep early. Seeing my father-in-law lie down to rest, I reached out and tucked the blanket properly over him. Early the next morning, my mother-in-law came to take over the shift. She practically forced me back with a stern, hard attitude. Returning home, I lay down on the couch to catch up on sleep. Dozing off, I was abruptly woken up by the sound of the door opening. Opening my eyes, I saw Liu Li's eye rims were red and swollen. I knew she must have gotten scolded and yelled at again at the hospital. Fortunately, my father-in-law couldn't engage in strenuous physical activity yet. Otherwise, her face would definitely have extra red handprint marks on it. Liu Li looked at me and flashed a look of apology. I'm sorry. Hubby, I disturbed your rest. Go make lunch. Afterward, go ahead and quit that job of yours. After saying that, I closed my eyes once more and started fake dozing off. Liu Li bit her lower lip hard. This cold and hot, indifferent attitude of mine made her extremely uncomfortable and miserable. In the past, I would comfort her while waiting on her, but now I paid her no mind at all. The contrast was truly massive. Yet she could only endure it for now, believing that as long as she could bear it, things would get better after a period of time. Liuli was filled with deep regret right now. She bitterly hated herself for why she was so foolish back then, and hated herself for why she couldn't resist temptation. Yet if regret and remorse were of any use, people wouldn't be praying for a cure for regret to exist in this world. Tears silently slipped down from her eyes. Liuli blankly walked into the kitchen. Over an hour later, I packed the lunchbox and prepared to head out. Before leaving, I looked at Liuli with a completely calm gaze. Without giving any warnings or advice, Liuli felt extremely uneasy under my stare, and her body involuntarily shriveled and tensed up. She wished so badly that I would warn her. Watching the silhouette of my departure, Liuli slumped down dejectedly on the sofa. She knew things could never go back to the way they were. Now she only extravagantly hoped I could show just 1 to 3 of the affection toward her and she'd be satisfied. After arriving at the hospital ward, my mother-in-law stepped forward to take the food from my hands and gently scolded Xiao Wang. You didn't need to deliver this personally. You didn't rest well at all last night. Having her deliver it would have been fine. Mom, it's nothing. As for Liuli, I told her to go resign. My mother-in-law fell silent. After my father-in-law saw me, the smile on his face never once faded. Xiao Wang, I'm doing much better. I reckon I can be discharged in just a few days. You don't need to come over every single day either. Rest when you need to rest. Just let Liuli deliver the food and that'll be enough. Dad, I know. Returning home, Liuli still hadn't come back yet, so I lay down on the bed to rest. Not long after, I started snoring faintly. This was my first time actually sleeping since that night. It wasn't until the afternoon that I was woken up by Liuli hubby. It's time to eat. I groggily opened my eyes, glanced at Liuli and said, stop crying all day long. Look at yourself. Your eyes are all red. Liuli opened her mouth but couldn't find any words to say, and could only turn around and walk out of the bedroom. While eating, Liuli walked up to my side and said, hubby, let me tell you something. Liuli took out her phone to show me he has already been investigated and penalized. He'll probably go in and be locked up for a few years. I took Liuli's phone and took a look. Feeling slightly surprised, Yang Jun was actually arrested. I raised my head, looked straight at Liuli and said, you were the one who snitched on him. Liuli didn't say a word, just gently nodded her head once. The level of caution I had toward Liuli in my heart raised a bit more. This woman's methods are actually quite ruthless. Hearing my cold scoff, Liuli didn't dare to speak even more. She knew that regarding the matter of Yang Jun, she couldn't voice any opinions at all. Some things can only be done in secret without claiming credit. What are your plans for the future now? I'll just stay home from now on and won't go out anymore. I'll wash your clothes and cook for you. Liuli looked at me with trepidation and anxiety after finishing. I can also stay at home and take care of kids? I put down my chopsticks and lit a cigarette. Let's leave it at that for now and put the matter of kids aside for the moment. A flash of disappointment flickered across Liuli's eyes. Yet she also knew that there was still a knot in my heart right now. Her idea of using a child to salvage and rescue this family would have to be pushed further down the road. After finishing our meal, I drove with Liuli heading toward the hospital. Arriving at the hospital, I had Liuli go pick up her parents, while I went to handle the discharge procedures and clear out the remaining hospital fees. Right after getting all of that settled, the moment I turned around, I bumped right into a girl. Only the position of my hand was somewhat awkward. Taking advantage of the fact that the girl hadn't reacted yet, I quickly stepped back a pace. That girl clutched her chest and hastily jumped backward, saying, what is wrong with you? Where were you brushing your hands against? I apologized, saying, I'm sorry. I didn't see you there. You suddenly appeared right behind me instead, and I didn't react in time. The girl's face flushed slightly red, not knowing whether she was furious because of my earlier action, or embarrassed because she cut in line without waiting. Originally, she had wanted to find a nurse to ask about something, but who would have known it would turn out like this? I saw that girl blush deeply and struggle for a moment, glared fiercely at me with a vicious look and turned around to run off. I watched her retreating figure with a puzzled look. However, since she didn't pursue the matter further, I wasn't about to eagerly chase after her to apologize either. When Liuli came downstairs, she happened to catch the scene of me apologizing to that girl. Because she was still standing rather far away, she hadn't heard the sound or conversation. She only saw my mouth moving. At this exact moment, a strong sense of crisis rose up inside her heart. Turns out she had grown too used to things before, and thereby completely overlooked my good traits and advantages. With my fairly decent looks and appearance, it was impossible for me not to find another woman. If I got a divorce, I could live wonderfully well. Whereas if she got a divorce, she could only suffer endless condemnation and abuse. Thinking about this, it became even more impossible for Liuli to ever get a divorce. She had to find a way to clear away the knot and resentment in my heart, and could only stay together with me This marriage had already turned into Liu Li's protective umbrella. In order to keep this protective umbrella, she would be placed under the scorching sun to stand trial and judgment. My mother-in-law glanced at her own daughter. She had already run out of things to say to her at this point. Mom, Dad, why don't you guys come stay at my place for a few days? My father-in-law waved his hand and said, Xiao Wang, we won't go over and bother or trouble you. Just drive us back home instead. No one has been living at our house these past few days. Those pigs and chickens, we can't keep troubling your uncle to go feed them every day, can we? Seeing that he had already put it that way, I didn't try to persuade them any further. Driving the car out of the city toward the direction of our hometown village, Liu Li sat in the passenger seat, staring out the window. A flash of fear flickered across her eyes. If you asked what she feared the most right now, that would definitely be returning back to her hometown village. She could even vividly imagine those relatives and neighbors back in the hometown. Looking at her with those weird, strange, and judgmental stares, Liu Li turned her head to look at me, her eyes carrying a pleading look. She was begging me not to abandon her. I didn't completely ignore Liu Li's gaze either. I knew that pushing some things too hard would lead to counterproductive results. Even a cornered rabbit will bite after all. After driving through a bumpy, potholed rural country road section, a village appeared right before my eyes. This was Liujia village where Liu Li's parents lived. Most of the people living in this Liujia village shared the surname Liu, and were basically all related by blood or distant kinship ties. After parking the car properly, a group of half-grown kids had already swarmed around us. I stepped out of the car and handed out some candies, only then managing to shoo those little brats away. One little brat tugged at the corner of my shirt and asked Big Brother. I heard my mom say that big sister Liu Li cheated. What is cheating anyway? My expression turned slightly cold, yet I still squatted down and said, Little brat, why are you asking so many questions? Even if you keep asking, believe it or not, I'll snatch those candies right back out of your hands. You already gave them to me. You can't take them back. That kid hurriedly stuffed the candies from his hand into his mouth and ran away. Because the car window wasn't rolled up, Liu Li heard every single word the child said crystal clear. That voice full of childish innocence made Liu Li feel so ashamed she couldn't even raise her head. Her entire body cowered and shivered inside the seat. What are you feeling ashamed and embarrassed too? My father-in-law scolded from the side. Liu Li didn't even have the courage to talk back or reply. At this moment, I opened the car door and said, Dad, let me help you down. Watch your head carefully. After helping Mom and Dad out of the car, I walked over to the passenger side and knocked on the car window, go make breakfast. Mom and Dad haven't had breakfast yet. Liu Li shook her head and looked at me pleadingly. She really didn't want to stay here for even a single second longer. What do you still expect Mom to cook for herself? Liu Li stepped out of the car with extreme reluctance. As soon as she got home, she dove straight into the kitchen and refused to come out. I glanced at the dusty floor and picked up the broom to start sweeping. My mother-in-law hurriedly grabbed my hand and said, Xiao Wang, stop sweeping. Leave it there. I'll sweep it whenever I have free time. Let me just sweep it up a bit casually. Saying that, regardless of the two of them, I started sweeping directly. Just while I was sweeping the floor, the news of my father-in-law and mother-in-law returning home had already spread all across the entire village. Relatives who were relatively close by all came over to visit and check on them. Among them were also some people who came specifically just to watch the drama and gossip. A large group of people gathered around the table, drinking tea and chatting. Of course, they wouldn't explicitly bring up those sensitive questions out in the open. It's just that the way they looked at me more or less carried a hint of strangeness. Yet her eldest aunt took the lead and probed Xiao Wang. What are your actual thoughts and plans about this? Auntie, please don't ask about that. Just leave me a bit of face and dignity. Right at this moment, a group of kids ran in following a crying child. The little brat who was crying was precisely the one who asked me the question earlier. Seeing him crying as he wailed, big sister Liu Li hit me. Auntie stroked the red mark on his face with a heartbroken look. Xiao Bao, how did you end up pissing her off? I just went to ask her what cheating meant, and she slapped me hard across the face. The eldest aunt looked up and saw my father-in-law, mother-in-law, and my expression all darken and sink down. Hastily apologizing children say whatever comes to mind without malice. Please don't mind it. I held my teacup and didn't say a single word. Instead, my father-in-law gave the table a not too heavy, not too light tap. Why don't you all head back today? My body just barely recovered as well. I'll go visit you guys in a few days. My father-in-law had already issued an eviction order. Actually, it was about time too. Once this floodgate was opened, with this massive group of people, you saying a word and me shouting a remark, it would become explosive. By that time, there's no telling what kind of ugly, harsh words might pop out. The others also stood up one after another and said, Then we'll be leaving first? We'll come see you another day. Only after all the visitors had completely left did Liu Li carry the dishes and food out. she had actually finished preparing these long ago. It was precisely because there were too many people outside that she hid away and didn't dare to come out. Watching Liu Li, my father-in-law's face instantly darkened black, slapping the table and scolding viciously. What? Do you still have an attitude and a temper now? After doing such a shameless thing, you still dare to hit people. Xiaobao is still just a child. If you hit him and cause any injuries or issues, your eldest aunt's husband would definitely raise hell. You Liu Li, like an ostrich, cowered your head and didn't dare to speak a word. After listening from the side for a little while, feeling it was about enough, I finally spoke up. Calm your anger, calm your anger. I'll take her away right now. If she skips this meal completely, if it really pushes Liu Li over the edge and she runs away, that wouldn't be good. The subsequent plans still rely on my father-in-law and mother-in-law to pass along the news and pressure. Only by taking it step by step slowly can her mental state completely collapse. Once things are rushed and too hasty, it will only produce counterproductive results. Xiao Wang, since you're already here, eat a meal before leaving. It's not like you're pressed for time right now. One more time won't make a difference. My father-in-law turned around and said in a gentle tone. This attitude toward me, compared to his attitude toward Liu Li just a moment ago, was truly a complete 180-degree turnaround. This stark contrast made Liu Li feel even more miserable inside. I thought for a moment, then sat back down and said, let's eat a meal before leaving. By that time, you won't be able to ask me to stay even if you wanted to. Staying here makes me feel rather uncomfortable too. I gave Liu Li a subtle glance, signaling her to hurry up and leave. Liu Li cast a grateful look toward me and hurried off to the kitchen to fetch bowls and chopsticks. Afterward, she didn't even dare to sit at the dining table. At the dinner table, my father-in-law wanted to drink alcohol. No matter how I tried to advise and persuade him, he wouldn't listen. In the end, I had no choice but to agree to let him have just a tiny sip. After finishing the meal, I stood up and bid farewell to my mother-in-law and father-in-law. I'll take Liu Li and head out first. Call me anytime if anything comes up. Liu Li practically sprinted into the car like she was fleeing for her life. She felt like if she stayed there any longer, she would definitely go completely insane. Watching Liu Li's pathetic look, my father-in-law's face darkened black once again. Yet this time, giving face and consideration to me, he didn't throw a fit or blow up. Watching the car drive away, my father-in-law let out a heavy sigh and said, Xiao Wang is such a good guy. She simply doesn't deserve to have such a great husband. She's truly a heartless piece of trash, worse than pigs and dogs. Old Liu let it go. Since Xiao Wang doesn't want to get a divorce, then just leave it up to him. All these malicious gossips and rumors around the village will just help block and shield him from them a bit. Just you wait and see. If she still doesn't know what's good for her and dares to do something like this again, I swear I'll beat her to death to preserve Xiao Wang's dignity and face. My father-in-law spat out a mouthful of saliva onto the ground and said, driving the car along the road, heading back home. I glanced over at Liu Li with a seemingly annoyed and irritated look. Stop crying. Liu Li didn't want to cry either. Yet, the moment she thought about what she faced back at her parents' house, the strange judgmental stares directed at her, her sobbing and gasping couldn't be stopped at all. Hubby, can we not go back there anymore in the future? I smiled slightly. Sure we can, as long as we get a divorce. You can escape far away from this city. Go to a place where no one knows who you are. That way you wouldn't have to face any of this stuff anymore. And you could still live a great life. The reason I said this was to test Liu Li, to test whether she had this kind of determination. If she really wanted to do something like that, I would have to change my plan. Liu Li obviously looked somewhat moved and tempted. Yet very quickly her eyes dimmed down into despair. She didn't dare to do this. She was terrified that if she just walked away and abandoned everything, she would anger her father to death. Besides, what kind of daughter, after making a mistake, pushes all the consequences onto her parents to bear? Liu Li couldn't bring herself to do such a thing. If she divorced, she would only be completely ruined and cast aside, while I would still continue living a wonderful life. Only by holding on to this marriage could she slowly crawl back up through the malicious gossip and raise her head proudly once again. Hubby, please don't divorce me. I can endure all of this. Please give me one more chance. Liu Li pleaded desperately. A sigh of relief escaped from my heart. It seemed she didn't have that kind of backbone or resolve yet. As long as she doesn't leave this city, I've got plenty of ways to torment and torture her. The atmosphere inside the car fell into absolute silence due to my lack of response, with only Liu Li's ongoing sobbing breaking the quiet. I loved this sound. I loved watching her cry. The harder she cried, the happier I felt inside. Returning to the residential complex. As soon as I parked the car and stepped out, I heard someone calling my name. Xiao Wang, come over here. I've got something to talk to you about. Auntie Wang, what's going on? I walked over slowly at a casual pace. Xiao Wang, when are you going to get a divorce? When that happens, Auntie will introduce you to a nice girlfriend. Don't worry. The girl I set you up with has a completely flawless character and morals. She's countless times better than certain people out there, Auntie Wong said in a loud, echoing voice. I put on a troubled expression that was hard to answer, while the corner of my eye glanced toward Liu Li's direction, so I could thoroughly enjoy Liu Li's reaction. Liu Li was standing not too far away. Therefore, Auntie Wong's words naturally reached her ears as well. She was furious, biting her lower lip, daring to be angry, yet lacking the courage to speak out. Right now, I am her absolute last life-saving straw. How could she possibly let anyone else snatch me away? At the same time, a deep sense of crisis welled up inside her heart. I am exceptional and outstanding. There is no doubt about this fact. She, right now, has no way of holding on to such an elite man at all. So she panicked. She had to take action. Liu Li walked over and stood quietly right behind me to assert her presence, yet she didn't dare to chime in or interrupt her, because she knew that once she spoke up, she might end up getting into a screaming match with Auntie Wang. She was terrified that her standing in my heart would drop even further. I turned my head and glanced at Liu Li, Auntie Wang. This is my personal private business. Sorry to trouble you, but there's no need to worry about it. What, you're not planning on getting a divorce? Your wife went and pulled a stunt like this. Are you seriously going to just swallow your anger and endure it? Auntie Wang glanced at Liu Li and spoke without holding back anything at all. Liu Li had bitten her lips hard enough to draw blood, yet she didn't dare to utter a single word. My expression darkened black. Auntie Wang, if there's nothing else, I'll be heading back first. As I turned around, Auntie Wang grabbed my arm and said, Xiao Wang, you must not have been at the scene that night, so you didn't get that vivid visual impact. I was right there though. When the cops went to your house, I was standing right at the doorway. I recorded everything that happened back then. Let me show you what your wife looked like at that moment. Saying that, Auntie Wang released her grip on my hand, took out her phone and started searching through her recorded videos. Looking at the neighborhood aunties gathering around to watch the gossip, with a dark face, I grabbed Auntie Wang's wrist and said in a low voice, Auntie Wang, can you please leave me a bit of face and dignity? Auntie Wang looked up and saw my darkened expression, then turned her head to look at the crowd gathering around us. Suddenly realizing she apologized, look at this brain of mine. Xiao Wang, I'm so sorry. I'll find you to chat privately next time. I flicked my sleeve and turned around to walk away. Right now, I was genuinely getting a bit angry. Even though I was the one who voluntarily threw away my own reputation, why did hearing these things still make me angry now? Before leaving, Liu Li glared fiercely at Auntie Wang with a vicious look, seeming to warn her not to stick her nose into other people's business. Auntie Wang flew into a rage on the spot, pointing at Liu Li's retreating back and scolding, you still dare to glare at me? You did such a shameless thing and you won't even let others talk about it. With what you pulled trash like you would have been boxed and buried long ago? Hearing Auntie Wang's curses, I walked even faster. Back at home, I lay down on the couch and lit a cigarette. Right now, I was extremely calm. Liu Li didn't even bother changing her shoes when she got home. She walked straight up in front of me and dropped to her knees. She kept her head lowered without saying a word, and didn't even dare to speak. She knew I was extremely angry right now. Anything she said at this moment might trigger my wrath. I exhaled a cloud of smoke and said, what is the meaning of this? Hubby, I know I brought shame and humiliation upon you. Just hit me and beat me. Liu Li bit her lower lip hard and said in a submissive pleading tone, do you know what kind of stares those neighbors give me? Every time I step outside these past few days, I am a man, and dignity is the absolute last thing a man can afford to lose. I said in a mocking, sarcastic tone. Liu Li could no longer hold back her tears and broke down crying. Reaching out to hug my legs as she wept, I know, hubby, I'm begging you to give me one more chance. I will definitely make up for this grave mistake. I looked down at Liu Li with ice-cold eyes. Without saying a single word, I stood up directly and walked back into my bedroom. Inside the room, listening to Liu Li's weeping outside, I smiled a chilling, icy smile. In the afternoon, I walked out of the room and saw Liu Li still kneeling right there on the floor. A trace of an imperceptible cold contempt flashed across my eyes. Playing the pity card used to work wonders in the past. I used to fall for this routine every single time. But now, I can only chuckle at it. Liu Li looked up at me with red, swollen eyes, carrying a shred of anticipation and hope. She was eagerly waiting for me to show the care and concern she longed for. I walked over to Liu Li's side and looked down at her go make dinner. I'm hungry. Saying that, I sat directly down on the sofa. I didn't reach out to help Liu Li up, nor did I say any extra words to her. A look of disappointment flashed across Liu Li's eyes. Liu Li struggled to get up, yet because her knees had been kneeling on the hard floor for too long, they produced a sharp, severe pain. She lost her balance and fell down, and happened to collapse right against my body. Liu Li apologized repeatedly while trying to get back up, yet her knees hurt far too intensely, making it impossible to do so. I pushed Liu Li away onto the sofa. without scolding her and without rushing her either. I simply took out the remote control and turned on the television. Liu Li bit her lower lip with a look of loss. She felt a profound sense of chilling indifference. A few minutes later, I walked into the bedroom, picked up a bottle of Yunnan Baiyao spray and handed it to Liu Li. Spray it on yourself and take care of it. Once you feel a bit better, go make dinner. A look of joy and relief shone through Liu Li's eyes. Holding the medicine bottle, as she looked up at me, she felt a renewed spark of hope once again. I sneered coldly in my heart, "Don't get too excited yet. This tiny shred of hope will become the driving force that keeps you hanging on." Liu Li glanced sideways at me and cautiously rolled up her pants legs. Applying the medicine while using her peripheral vision to observe me, she was watching to see whether after seeing her legs, I would show any kind of physical reaction or desire, because her legs had always been the physical feature she was most confident about. She wanted to use her body to win me back. I saw right through her little thoughts instantly, and only felt a wave of nausea and disgust. I stood up, walked back to the room, grabbed a pair of loose pants, and threw them at her. "Once you're done fixing that, put these on and go make dinner." Liu Li's disappointment flashed past for a split second. Yet she wasn't discouraged. Taking advantage of the time she was cooking, I took out my phone to search for a new job. There was no way I could waste time dragging this out forever. Making money was an absolute necessity. After finishing dinner, I headed to the park near the residential complex. Sitting down on a park bench, looking up at the bright moon shining in the night sky, my heart was filled with intense resentment and unwillingness. Liu Li, you truly deserve to die. A perfectly good life was utterly ruined by you. This is the first time I've ever hated someone this deeply, even deeper than my hatred for the parents who abandoned me. Right at this moment, my phone suddenly rang out. It was my good buddy Chen Haiwei. "Brother Lin, I saw a video today." It was about before he could even finish his sentence, I interrupted him. "Old Chen, you don't need to come and test. And probe me either. That honest, bullied pushover mentioned in this video is literally me. I got cheated on and cuckolded." The person on the other end of the line fell silent for a long time. "Brother Lin, are you planning to get a divorce or—" "There is no way I'm getting a divorce. When have I ever suffered this kind of humiliation and insult?" "Brother Lin, please calm down. Make sure you don't do anything foolish or illegal. Don't worry, we live in a society ruled by law now. I won't use brute force to solve problems." After chatting with Chen Hai for quite a while, learning that his factory job over in Modu only pays a little over 6,000 a month after working himself to death, I suddenly sprouted the idea of starting my own business. I want to open a labor dispatch and staffing company. The connections I've accumulated over the years are enough to make a living. After telling Chen Hai about it, he expressed that he was also sick and tired of this current lifestyle, and decided to come take a gamble and hustle with me. Right on the spot, he decided to quit his job over there and come back to find me. Right now, I need to exact my revenge on Liu Li, while also making money so I can live an even better life in the future. As soon as I stepped back home, Liu Li warmly greeted me. "Hubby, please have some tea. I've already adjusted the temperature of the bath water for you. Whenever you want to wash up and freshen up." This maid-like attitude of hers made me somewhat unaccustomed to it, yet I was more than happy to sit back and enjoy it. I took the teacup, took a sip, and stood up to walk into the bathroom, directly shutting her out the door. Outside the door, Liu Li clenched her fists in frustration and anger, before turning around to go tidy up the bed, still wanting to make one final attempt. After finishing washing up, I walked into the bedroom. She had deliberately put on a conservative yet extremely alluring and sexy nightgown. This outfit was chosen after 1,000 pics and selections, neither showing too much excessive skin, while still perfectly highlighting her gorgeous figure. He still wanted to continue enticing me, but his plan fell flat completely. I didn't even spare him a single glance. Lying down with my back turned to him and went straight to sleep. Feeling a bit crestfallen, he crawled onto the bed and stared at my back. He wanted to say something but didn't dare to open his mouth. Thinking about everything she was currently facing, a bitter taste inevitably welled up inside Liu Li's heart. As for all of this, I neither knew nor cared to know. My light snoring was already echoing throughout the room. One day, I felt a heavy sense of oppression weighing down on my body. Opening my eyes to take a look, Liu Li was coiled around my body like a snake. Being a red-blooded young man in his early 20s to begin with, combined with the natural instincts of early morning, my body instantly reacted, yet looking at her body only filled me with disgust. I shoved her away with force, and after standing up and getting dressed, I lit up a cigarette and walked out to the living room. The moment I got out of bed, Liu Li had already woken up. Her hopes were completely shattered. She knew I found her filthy and unclean, and her confidence in winning me back began to waver. I called out, "I know you're awake, go make breakfast. I'm heading out in a bit, you." With a complicated expression on her face, Liu Li got up and dressed. Passing by the living room, she asked hubby, "Where are you going?" I gave her a cold warning, "Don't ask so many questions. When I'm not home, you'd better behave yourself. Hubby, I will definitely keep to myself and stay well behaved. I'll never cause you to lose face again. She shook her head vigorously like a spinning rattle drum. You better hope so. If you pull any more stunts, you won't even get the chance to divorce me. Liuli turned deathly pale. She understood the weight of that threat all too well, and dragged herself trembling into the kitchen. I took out my phone and bought her a suitable set of clothes online. After finishing the meal, I headed out, driving aimlessly through the streets of the city. Before I knew it, evening had already fallen. Instead of going home, I drove straight to a bar. As a man who had been betrayed and backstabbed, I still had to put on an act of being deeply troubled and venting my frustration. Sitting down in a booth and ordering a glass of hard liquor. With the dim, moody lighting and the loud, booming DJ beats, there weren't all that many people inside the bar just yet. Just at this moment, I noticed not far away, there were a few girls gossiping and talking about me. Sisters, over there is a handsome guy drinking alone to drown his sorrows. His vibe and aura are pretty good. Doesn't look like an ordinary wage slave. Shu, do you want to go try your luck? Loyao, stop teasing me, okay? As for you wanting to get his WeChat, let's each rely on our own skills and charm then. The girl who got pushed forward was named Li Shiyu. Holding her wine glass, she walked over to my side hesitatingly and gently tapped on the table, handsome. Can I sit down and keep you company for a drink? I looked at her with a cynical, wicked smile. This young woman was extremely pretty and gorgeous. A single glance was enough to make someone's heart flutter. Yuli wasn't even close compared to her. Yet I didn't have any extra thoughts or mind to care about such things right now. I said calmly, anywhere except right here on top of me. You can sit wherever you want. Her cheeks flushed slightly red. As she sat down gracefully and naturally, my name is Li Shiyu. What should I call you? Wang Lin. Seeing you drinking alone to drown your sorrows. Are you dealing with unhappy things? If you're willing, you can talk to me about it. She raised her wine glass to toast me. I stared straight into her eyes for half a minute and asked, are you married? She responded in surprise. I just graduated from university. How could I possibly get married so early? Marriage makes women age rapidly, you know? If you're unmarried, you won't understand, and even if I told you, it'd be useless. She hadn't expected that I was already married, and her interest in me instantly plummeted by more than half. Yet she still comforted me, so your furrowed brows and gloomy face. Are they because of money? Although I don't have a massive amount of cash, I still have around 100,000 in savings. I was briefly stunned perhaps because money is too scarce. To maintain a firm footing in this desire-driven society, right? You're still young. Money can be earned slowly over time. The most important thing right now is to enjoy your youth. I drank cup after cup of alcohol continuously, with a tone sounding like an aging, weary elder. Li Shu frowned slightly, disliking this old, fogey, melancholic vibe of mine, and said with a prickly edge, you look like you understand life so thoroughly. Do you even have kids? Have you ever experienced birth, old age, sickness, and death? You don't understand, sometimes age isn't judged by surface appearances. Maybe it's a single event, or perhaps a certain moment, when you suddenly realize you've grown old. Li Shu felt somewhat annoyed. She came here to make friends, not to listen to grand life lessons and preaching. Keep on sighing with emotion all you want then. I feel like there's a generation gap between us, so I won't disturb or bother you anymore. She paused for a moment and reminded me, no matter what happened to you, life is still beautiful. Don't lock yourself away and trap yourself inside a cage. Besides, don't drink too much, it harms your body. My hand holding the wine glass paused for a second as I watched her retreating back. A stranger's care and concern actually warmed my heart a little. Not far away, Qinshui and Luo Yao were competing to ask Xiu, how was it, did you succeed? Don't fight me for him. This one is mine this time. Even if you take him, he'll just sit in your WeChat contacts list, gathering dust. That's called stocking fish in my pond. The fish you stock are probably dead fish, right? Alright, I didn't ask for his contact info anyway. Li Shu hastily clarified. He has something heavy on his mind. Looks like he's suffering from a broken heart or emotional trauma. Let's not disturb or bother him anymore. Heartbroken, perfect. Just right for me to go heal and comfort him. Luo Yao teased playfully. Let's not talk about this anymore. I just lost my job again. What am I supposed to do about work? Li Shu said with a worried expression. Qinshui chuckled and joked. Come be a nanny and housekeeper at my place. Accompany me to eat and sleep 3,000 a month. Are you trying to brush off a beggar? At least 3 million for an annual package deal. Li Shu joked back. After drinking a few extra cups of alcohol, I left the bar swaying unsteadily, since I rarely drink in the first place. The alcohol hit me, making the world spin around completely. I called a designated driver before safely leaning back to rest. Boss, we've arrived at the destination. Time to pay up. I groggily opened my eyes, fumbled out a 100 yuan bill and handed it over. I walked back home, reeking completely of alcohol. Hubby, why did you drink so much? Liu Li carefully and cautiously supported me into the house. I struggled and pushed her away. Don't touch me, you're disgusting. Liu Li's movements paused for a second, staring at me in a daze and blank shock. I lay on the sofa and ranted loudly. I know you resent me. I'll make you see my changes and growth. From now on, you will be my entire world and center. I grabbed the water cup on the table and chugged it down in one breath. As my hand loosened, the cup dropped to the floor and shattered into countless pieces. While I myself lay flat on the sofa, completely out cold and unresponsive, Liu Li looked at me quietly, gently stroking my cheek, laying her head against my chest to listen to my heartbeat. Hubby, I truly regret it so much. In the past, I took your kindness for granted like a bad habit. Only now do I realize that it wasn't given for no reason at all. It's a pity that I've already lost it. She kissed my cheek softly and knelt down to clean up the shattered glass shards. She knew that time might eventually smooth over and heal the pain, and she had to endure until the day I finally forgot about it. One day, I was jolted awake by a dry, parched throat and a pounding, dizzy head. Liu Li handed a glass of water right to my face. Are you thirsty, hubby? I made some hangover soup for you. I raised my head to look. The maid outfit Liu Li was wearing made my eyes light up. I ordered this online yesterday using same-day delivery. Same city shipping is really fast. I took the water glass and looked at her admiringly. I'm hungry. Is breakfast ready yet? I made porridge. You got drunk yesterday. Drinking some porridge in the morning is good for your health. After finishing the water, I stood up and walked toward the dining table. Liu Li trotted over to pull out the chair for me and handed the bowl of porridge over, looking quite a bit like a real maid hubby. What are you doing today? I'll pick out and organize your clothes for you. Liu Li massaged my shoulders and hammered my back from behind, her tone soft and gentle. Get a set of casual wear. I'm going to pick someone up today. I closed my eyes to enjoy the moment. Without asking much, she turned around to go fetch the clothes. After finishing my shower, I walked out of the bathroom. Liu Li was holding the clothes waiting right outside the door, wanting to step forward to help me put them on. I pulled the clothes away directly. I'll do it myself. You go buy some groceries and vegetables. We're having a guest over for lunch today. After getting dressed and looking sharp, I grabbed my car keys and left. Looking through the mirror, Liu Li looked at the maid outfit on her body, feeling somewhat unfamiliar and surreal. This wasn't some romantic bedroom roleplay. She knew I was deliberately torturing and breaking her down. Yet she didn't want to give up on me, believing that even a maid could eventually stage a comeback and become the mistress of the house. I drove over to Nanjing Airport. Amidst the surging crowds of people, I quickly spotted Chen Hai pulling his luggage suitcase. Welcome back home, my good brother. I walked up and gave him a bro hug. Brother Lin, the air back home tastes even better than outside. I took his luggage. Do you want to go swing by the orphanage to check on things first? Chen Hai grimaced and said wryly, let's rest for a few days. I'm afraid the director will scold me. You're going to get yelled at sooner or later anyway. Going early or going late makes no difference. I'm not mentally prepared yet. Let's talk about it in a few days. All right, stay at my place today, and we'll go tomorrow. After getting in the car, Chen Hai handed over a cigarette. Brother Lin, is what you said yesterday about opening a labor dispatch company actually reliable? You've worked in the factories for 3 years. Don't you understand the rules of human resources by now? I retorted with a question. Over in Mo, do labor agencies partner up with factories, quickly recruiting people while saving the factories from hassle, squeezing a cut of 1 to a few bucks per hour from the wage rate? That's the core business model of making money. I continued. You don't need to worry about connections and networking. Back when I was doing sales, I got chummy and familiar with most of the factory execs around here. Follow me and you won't suffer or lose out, Chen Hai said with hesitation. Brother Lin, I'm not worried about that part. It's just that pulling strings and getting official registration must cost quite a bit of money, right? I only have 20,000 left. I said, don't you worry about the money side of things. Registering a company only costs a few thousand. Renting a storefront costs 3 to 4,000 a month. Miscellaneous expenses add up to 1 or 2 tens of thousands. Handling connections and social grease takes 50,000. Whatever's left will be more than enough for emergencies. Then when are we starting work and getting moving? No rush, you go back to visit the orphanage first. I'll do some more research on materials and info these next few days. As soon as we got back home, I noticed that Liu Li was wearing a face mask. Noticing it, I reached out and pulled her mask down, only to discover scratch marks on her face. Frowning, I asked, did you get into a fistfight with someone? Liu Li stayed silent. When she went to the wet market to buy groceries, people kept pointing and whispering at her, and she couldn't hold back her temper, leading to a physical scuffle. Brother Lin, why don't we just go out to eat instead? She probably isn't very convenient right now. Chen Hai chimed in and spoke up. He didn't call Liu Li sister-in-law, and completely ignored and bypassed her altogether. It's fine. I took a look at her injuries, they aren't serious. Clean yourself up and go make dinner. And next time, don't go fighting people again. I won't step up to stick my neck out for you or back you up. A heavy gloom sank into Liu Li's heart. She couldn't even get a single word of care and concern. She walked into the kitchen, The loud thumping sounds of chopping vegetables became her way of venting her frustration. I pulled Chen Hai over to sit down on the sofa and took out a few bottles of beer from the refrigerator. My good brother, we haven't seen each other in so many years. Let's have a proper drink together today. Holding his beer bottle, Chen Hai lowered his voice and said, Brother Lin, are you really planning on treating her like this? She isn't worth it. My expression turned serious toward Chen. If you're my brother, don't bring up stuff like this. I've already made up my mind about her matters. Chen Hai knew he couldn't talk me out of it. Ever since I was little, I've always held grudges and sought payback for every slight. When bullied as a kid, I could stake out a guy for half a month just to beat him back. Let alone suffering such massive humiliation and betrayal this time. It was my fault. I'll punish myself with a drink. Chen Hai picked up his beer and chugged it down in one breath. Afterward, we reminisced and chatted about funny childhood stories from back in the day. I laughed happily and genuinely. This was the first time in these past few days that I laughed straight from the bottom of my heart. Liu Li finished preparing the dishes and served them on the table. Without inserting herself into our conversation, she quietly retreated off to the side. Whether to continue this marriage or get a divorce depends entirely on her own decision. After finishing the meal, Chen Hai insisted on heading out for a stroll, and I followed along with him, walking unsteadily. Liu Li only came out to clean up the mess after we left. After deep consideration, she still decided to hold on and persevere. Doing laundry and cooking was nothing much. Moreover, seeing that I was researching information on starting a company made her even more reluctant to get a divorce. One day, I brought Chen Hai back to visit the orphanage. As the car drove into the orphanage grounds, a bunch of kids swarmed around us. Brother Wang Lin is back. Brother Chen Hai is back too. I handed the snacks over to the kids to share among themselves and headed straight for the director's office. We chatted for a long time and only left after having a meal there. In the car, Chen Hai was scrolling through his phone when a strange sound suddenly rang out. I asked quizzically, "What are you looking at?" Chen Hai panicked and quickly turned off his phone. "Nothing, you heard wrong. Hand it over and let me see." I said in a low voice, and he hesitated before handing the phone to me. When I looked, it was definitely the video of Liu Li cheating that day, filmed from outside through the window, no less. The corners of my mouth curled up into a wicked, evil smile. Exiting the video, I tossed the phone back to him. "What are you afraid of?" I was the one who had someone leak and post this video. Chen Hai was so shocked he couldn't even speak. After recovering, he said, "Brother Lin, by doing this, you're hurting the enemy by 1,000 while losing 800 yourself. You're going to get permanently labeled as a cuckold on your back." My reputation was already ruined to begin with. I couldn't care less what other people think of me, as long as she is dragged down to hell. I could sense that Chen Hai fell silent. He completely understood my rage and fury. Back when his own girlfriend betrayed him, he had also thrown punches and beaten people up. It's just that my methods were far more ruthless and devastating, destroying both the body and the soul completely. After getting Chen Hai settled in, I drove my car back to the residential complex, thinking that the gossips and rumors of the past few days had gradually quieted down. I never expected that the moment I returned, those idle gossips and sympathetic pitying stares would once again surge over like a tidal wave, making my entire body feel utterly uncomfortable. Even though I was already mentally prepared in my heart, I still felt a wave of suffocating discomfort. Finally, unable to endure these invisible, piercing thorns any longer, I had no choice but to hurry and run back home. With a gloomy, sullen face, I opened the door. Liu Li was holding a clothes-drying pole while kneeling right at the doorway. "Hubby, just beat me and punish me. I'm a worthless wretch." Looking at her pathetic, submissive appearance, the anger in my heart faded by half. I originally wanted to strike her, but then gave up on the idea. If I hit her, she would actually feel a sense of relief and peace of mind. I grabbed the pole, tossed it aside, and walked into the bedroom without paying her any mind. Liu Li knelt on the ground in a daze and shock, her eyes completely devoid of focus. Cold indifference broke her down much more than physical beatings or curses ever could. She scrambled up and rushed into the bedroom. "Wang Lin, I want to get a divorce from you. You cold-blooded beast." I lay on the bed and let out a light chuckle. "I'm a beast. Have I ever harmed or wronged you? Have I ever made a huge scene and thrown tantrums? Have I ever betrayed our marriage?" At the very last sentence, I let out a deep roar. "If you're not a beast, then what are you? Your cold indifference is nothing more than torturing me alive. I'm done playing games with you anymore. Let's get a divorce," Liu Li screamed at the top of her lungs. I still maintained my cold apathy and said, "Sure. Let's go get a divorce right now then. You leave with 0 assets and walking away empty-handed, you have no objections, right?" Liu Li snapped back to her senses in an instant, hugged me from behind and cried out, wailing, "Hubby, I'm sorry." What I just said was spoken out of anger and impulse. "I don't want a divorce. I'm begging you, please don't abandon me." I let out a low roar, shaking her off. The fury raging deep inside my heart instantly erupted. The mere thought of her filthy, contaminated body touching me made me want to commit murder. I'm not letting go. I just want to hold you. I turned around intending to strike her. Yet she suddenly grabbed hold of me and kissed me, caught completely off guard when our lips touched. My anger instantly flared up to the heavens. I shoved her away and slapped her hard across the face with a vicious force. Are you trying to disgust me on purpose? Are you trying to force me to beat you up? Luli covered her face and started laughing with a morbid, deranged look. I looked at her and didn't strike her again. Instead, I slammed the door shut and stormed out. Reflect on yourself properly. If you act like this again, don't blame me if I lose my sense of proportion. She didn't chase after me. Instead, she felt quite happy. She finally got to see an emotional reaction from me other than pure cold indifference. Even if it was just pure anger. I sat alone by the river embankment, watching the setting sun sink below the horizon. A dozen cigarette butts littered the ground around me, recalling that physical touch just now in my mind. I only felt a deep sense of revulsion and disgust. Liu completely ruined my aspirations and longing for life. I was far too careless. I actually let her provoke me into a fit of anger just now. I tossed away the cigarette butt and stood up. I nodded with cold indifference. Then she immediately started serving meals and pouring water and tea. A wave of vigilance instantly spiked in my heart, showing exaggerated courtesy for no reason. Must mean she has ulterior motives or is up to no good. Yet, upon second thought, she had just thrown a tantrum earlier. So admitting her wrongs and acting submissive was only expected. I figured it out and made peace with it. She felt that way because I hit her, making her feel like she finally saw a glimmer of hope. Sometimes anger gives people much more of a sense of reaction and connection than cold apathy. I made up my mind not to lay a hand on her ever again from now on, while simultaneously strengthening communication with the two elders to prevent her from running away. Go do whatever you're supposed to do. Stop lingering and shaking in front of my eyes. I need to focus and think about things. All right, hubby, I'll disappear right away. Liu turned around and walked back into the bedroom. I opened my laptop to research information and documents. We're starting work tomorrow. I need to clearly understand the relevant regulatory permit procedures. Researching took a full 2 hours just like that. I suddenly started feeling somewhat warm and hot all over. Strange, it's only May. Why is it getting so hot at night? I felt my entire body burning up with heat. Walking over to the bathroom, wanting to take a cold shower to cool down. While I was washing up, Luli said outside the door that she wanted to help me bathe. Furious, I yelled at her to get lost. Yet, she insisted on bursting in anyway. After the storm cleared and the clouds parted, I sat stark naked on the sofa, my expression terrifyingly dark and gloomy. Looking down at Liu, who had already passed out cold on the floor, an icy, murderous intent burst forth from my eyes. She actually dared to drug me. I walked into the kitchen and picked up a kitchen knife. Looking down at Liu, who had already passed out cold on the floor, an icy, murderous intent burst forth from my eyes. She actually dared to drug me. I walked into the kitchen and picked up a kitchen knife, scooped up a bucket of cold water and splashed it right onto her body. Liu was startled awake. Wiping the water off her face, she looked calmly at the knife in my hand. With a smile still lingering on her face, "Hubby, are you going to kill me? You drugged me?" I interrogated her in a cold, furious voice. "I only added a potent aphrodisiac into your tea. Who told you to act so cold and aloof toward me these past few days? I am your woman, and I yearn and crave to be cherished and loved by you. Do you even have the face to say something like that? Back then, when I cherished and loved you with all my heart, you went and betrayed me instead, trampling my love and devotion beneath your feet. You were the one who threw away our relationship with your own hands." I roared at the top of my lungs. As the kitchen knife in my hand hacked a deep gouge into the dining table, "I admit I betrayed you. Yet I still love you. Getting involved with Yang Jun was just to take a cut of his ill-gotten gains. I wanted to help shoulder the pressure of our mortgage and car payments. I just used the wrong method. Shut your mouth. I make 500,000 to 600,000 a year. Could I not afford to support this family and support you? Did you really need to go beg for money from other men's hands?" I bellowed in rage. Liu closed her eyes and stopped arguing back. Silence became her only response. I walked into the bedroom, put on my clothes, and threw a piece of clothing at her. "Get dressed and come with me right now." "Where are you taking me?" "I'm not going." She refused to budge an inch. Ignoring her completely, I flung open the front apartment door. Outside the door, a crowd of neighborhood gossips had already gathered to watch the spectacle. The neighbors chimed in and urged Xiaowang, "Don't lose your temper. Just get a divorce. This woman is simply not worth it. With your conditions and background, you can easily find someone much better. Don't keep someone around whose character and morals are this flawed. I've got a daughter who's 1 year younger than you. She's sensible, obedient, and very pretty. Should I introduce her to you?" I forcefully suppressed my burning anger and squeezed out a fake smile. "Dear uncles and aunties, thank you all so much for your kind intentions and goodwill. I know exactly what needs to be done. Taking advantage of the moment, I opened the door. Liu Li hugged her clothes and scurried back into the bedroom. She didn't want to expose herself in front of everyone. Xiao Wang, make sure you don't lay a hand on her. Otherwise, even if you were in the right, you'll end up in the wrong. The law doesn't look at emotional arguments. I smiled and replied, it took quite a while before I finally managed to send the neighbors away. I turned around and walked back into the bedroom. I hoisted Liu Li up and carried her out to the car. Wang Lin, you absolute jerk. Let me go right now. I am not going back to my parents' home. She struggled frantically and slammed her fists against my backs. I shoved the wailing, screaming Liu Li into the car, tied her hands securely with a leather belt, and drove away straight ahead. Wang Lin, are you trying to get me publicly executed and shamed? Can't you leave me a shred of dignity? Hubby, I was wrong. Can't we just go back home, please? You can hit me or scold me all you want. I'll be your beast of burden and work like an ox or a horse for you. Liu Li's tone shifted from cursing to desperate pleading. Her parents' home was the place she feared the most in this world. Hubby, I'm begging you, please don't take me back there. My mom and dad are going to tear me to shreds alive. I turned a complete deaf ear to her cries and drove the car straight, charging into the deep night. She wept and screamed the entire journey until her voice became completely hoarse. In the end, she could only lie numbly in the back seat in a daze. An hour later, the car pulled up and stopped right in front of my father-in-law's house. Father-in-law Liu Hua opened the door with a smile. Xiao Wang, how come you guys came over so late, Dad? Sorry for disturbing you so late at night. I've brought Liu Li back to you. I'll be leaving right away. I picked up Liu Li from the back seat in my arms and untied the leather strap on her hands. Dad, I'm leaving first. After tossing the leather belt down, I quickly got back into the car and spun the steering wheel to drive away before my father-in-law could even react. Liu Hua watched the car speeding away into the distance, then looked down at Liu Li standing beside him. His expression instantly darkened and turned gloomy. Liu Li looked at the discarded leather strap on the ground, with a complex, conflicted gaze in her eyes. Was he already so disgusted that he couldn't even be bothered to untie my leather belt anymore? You unfilial wretch, what did you go and do this time? To make Xiao Wang so unhappy and upset? Watch me beat you to death, Liu Hua said with cold indifference. She didn't even turn her head back. Just go ahead and beat me. Might as well just beat me to death. Living doesn't have much meaning anymore anyway. The hand Liu Hua raised ultimately dropped down powerlessly. He turned around, walked back inside, and shut the door. Yet he left the outdoor porch light turned on for her. Liu Li squatted down by the roadside. The night wind blowing against her made her tremble uncontrollably. Her heart was even colder than the weather. Wang Lin, do you really have to be this ruthless and absolute? Everything I did was for your sake. In the middle of the night, my mother-in-law Wang Shuqin came out wearing her pajamas. Looking at her shivering figure, she sighed. Daughter, do you know what regret is now? Mom, I truly regret it so much. This family has ended up shattered just like this, and I can never win him back. Come inside first and let's see what Xiao Wang's thoughts are. Wang Shuqin draped a jacket over her shoulders and helped her up to her feet. No matter how wrong she was still her own flesh and blood daughter. When I got back home, it was already the dead of night. The fury burning inside my chest still hadn't completely subsided. Getting drugged by that sickening woman. She really is getting bolder and more audacious by the day. Liu Li, looks like I'll have to be on guard against you from now on. One day, my father-in-law's phone call came through. I hesitated for a moment before answering Dad. Ask Liu Li yourself about that. I still have matters to attend to. After a brief moment of silence, Liu Hua asked cautiously Xiao Wang, are you planning on getting a divorce? Whether we get a divorce or not isn't up to me alone. If Liu Li wants to continue living together, she can come back. If you want a divorce, then from this moment on, we're absolute strangers. With that, I hung up the phone right in her face. Over in Liujia village, Liu Huashun stared at the disconnected call and let out a helpless sigh. Old Liu, what did little Wang have to say? Wang Shuqin asked anxiously. He told us to go ask Liu Li ourselves. He looked seriously furious last night. Liu Huashun glanced over at Liu Li's bedroom door and went to wake her up. Wang Shuqin felt a soft pinch of unease and sympathy in her heart. Yet she still walked toward the bedroom door anyway. After calling out a few times, there was zero response from inside, and the door was even locked from the inside. A terrible, ominous premonition surged up in his chest. Hearing the commotion, Liu Huashun hurried over as well, grabbed a heavy iron hammer and smashed the bedroom door open, only to see Liu Li lying pale and lifeless on the bed. Pulling back the blanket, the entire bed was covered in blood. Screaming in panic, Wang Shuqin rushed forward, wanting to hug her. Stop screaming. Hurry up and call eldest brother. We need to get to the hospital. Liu Huashun forced himself to stay calm, grabbed Liu Li's wrist, and let out a sigh of relief after feeling a faint, weak pulse. She's still alive, but she's lost way too much blood. We've got to rush her to the hospital right now. Shanghai and I had just stepped out of the Industrial and Commercial Bureau. Our company registration documents and paperwork had already been submitted. Afterward, we headed over to the commercial storefront we had rented, planning to start getting hands-on with the renovations. Right at that moment, my mother-in-law's call came through Little Wang. Liu Li slit her wrist last night, and she's currently at the city hospital. If you're willing to come over, then please drop by and take a look at her. I froze for a split second in shock. She actually attempted suicide. Judging by my mother-in-law's tone, she probably didn't succeed in dying. What a pity, Mom. Don't panic, I'll head over right now. After hanging up the phone, I told Chen-hai, keep a close eye on the renovation stuff for me. I've got something urgent to take care of, so I'm heading out first. Arriving at the hospital room, Mom, Dad, how is Liu Li doing? She lost too much blood and is still getting a transfusion. Hasn't she woken up yet? Liu Huaxun spoke up. Little Wang, what on earth happened between you two last night? How could she ever do something like this? Uncle Liu Liji asked anxiously. I paused for a moment in deep thought. Actually, it wasn't even a big deal. Liu Li drugged me and forcefully had sexual relations with me against my will. You also know it's completely normal for me to feel deep aversion and resistance inside. After we had a huge quarrel, fearing I'd lose control and act out of impulse, I sent her back here to you and Mom. I never expected she would pull something like this. A look of deep regret and remorse surfaced across my face. Father-in-law patted my shoulder. This isn't your fault at all. Don't blame yourself. Both of you should take some time to calm down and cool your heads. After Liu Li is discharged from the hospital, I'll bring her back home. And you two can seriously think about whether you want to stay together or not. Having lived through this ordeal, Liu Hua showed a bit more tolerance and leniency toward Liu Li. He was truly terrified of the elderly having to bury someone younger. My heart grew slightly chilled. My parents-in-law's attitudes were starting to lean back toward Liu Leo. The heavy shackle of emotional ties really wasn't that easy to sever completely after all. I ran around the hospital busily taking care of Liu Li back and forth. I had to salvage and protect my standing and position in the hearts of the two elders. If I had been absent today, their hearts would only bias completely toward their daughter. At 9:00 p.m., Liu Li finally woke up. Looking at me, dozing off drowsily beside her hospital bed, she reached out to stroke my face. Hubby, have I arrived in heaven? I grabbed her hand and said softly, rest well. Don't move around recklessly. She gripped my hand tightly, refusing to let go. A smile blooming across her face. Liu Hua saw this and quietly walked out of the hospital ward. Hubby, can you please forgive me? I can't live without you. I fell silent for a brief moment and gave a bitter, self-deprecating smile. Liu Li, I need time. The things you did and those videos circulating online are just like sharp knives, stabbing into my heart every single day. I can't just snap my fingers and say I forgive you just like that. I seized the chance to break free from her hand. Since you're awake now, I'll head back first. Dad is right. We both need to calmly think over whether to keep going or give up. I honestly don't have an answer right now. Mom, please take good care of Liu Li. I'm leaving first. Liu Li wanted to beg me to stay but couldn't find any excuse. She could only watch helplessly with her own eyes as I walked away. Leaving the hospital behind, I sat inside my car staring malevolently and coldly at the hospital building. Everything my father-in-law said both implicitly and explicitly favored his daughter. Is blood really that important? Can no matter how grave the mistake be forgiven? Just wait and see. Sooner or later, you guys will grow to loathe her. She didn't manage to kick the bucket this time. There's always next time. One day, I didn't go to the hospital. Instead, I went over to the rented storefront to discuss company planning with Chen Hai, and incidentally, got all the official permits and documents sorted out. Chen Hai held the business license and stared at it endlessly. Derin Human Resources Co. Ltd. Legal Representative Wang Lin. He chuckled stupidly and said, Brother Lin, you're a big boss now. Shouldn't you treat me to a lavish feast to celebrate? I smiled and said, sure. Let's buy some groceries and head to the orphanage to celebrate. Liu Li was discharged 5 days ago and went back to her parents' home. I was the one who drove her back. We haven't been in touch these past few days. Some things need to be left to ferment for a bit to be effective. On the way, leaving the orphanage, Shanghai sighed with emotion a month ago. I was still pulling shift work down at the factory. And now my whole life has completely flipped. The soul-crushing assembly lines of the factory can truly wear down and erode a person's ambition completely. All jobs are the same. Only hard work brings real returns. Working for yourself is the only thing truly worth it. When I got back home, the wedding photo hanging on the bedroom wall looked exceptionally blinding and piercing. I took the photo down, tore it into pieces, and threw it into the ashtray to burn it to ashes. However much Liu Li loved you in the past is how much she hates you right now. Why did you have to let me down and betray me? Past memories surged back to the forefront of my mind, leaving nothing behind but bitter resentment. 3 days later, Dressed in formal business attire, I arrived at the storefront. Chen Hai was already waiting there. Above the storefront, the sign reading Darren Human Resources Course Limited stood out exceptionally eye-catching. Flanked by Spring Festival couplets, business flourishes far and wide. Wealth flows in and prospers endlessly with every passing day, with the horizontal scroll making money with honor and skill. Not bad, quite a high standard. I praised approvingly. Brother Lin, should we set off firecrackers to celebrate? Chen Hai asked. This isn't the countryside, so don't bother. Forget it, I said as I went to post a recruitment flyer outside. Add a notice sign. No placement or labor fees for the first 3 days of our grand opening. Got it. At noon, a few young guys with dyed colorful hair walked into the shop. Boss, you're eating. Should we come back a bit later instead? I put down my takeout and said it's fine. What kind of jobs are you guys looking for? Are there any electronics factories with lots of pretty girls where we can find girlfriends? I replied, Jinhua Electronics is heavily hiring workers right now. Sitting down, assembling plastic toys, the work is easy and free. No need to wear those suffocating dust-free cleanroom suits. There are plenty of pretty girls too. Pays over 5,000 a month. Though it requires working the night shift, staying up late is no problem at all. Fewer bosses around at night makes flirting with girls way easier. One of the youths laughed and said, after they finished filling out their application forms, I reminded them, remember to dye your hair back and clean up your look. Otherwise, you won't pass security to get in. Got it, boss. And then they left chatting and laughing away. That evening, looking over the ledger, Chen Hai reported excitedly, Brother Lin, today, we had 10 people successfully get introduced and hired through us to find jobs. Would you say this counts as a booming grand opening? Not bad at all. Tomorrow will be even better. Back at the residential complex, I sat inside my car and lit up a cigarette. Liu Li had already been back at her hometown for over 10 days without any contact. I wonder if she's sinking deeper into the despair of the public gossip, or slowly getting used to it. Thinking about these things is useless anyway, just hoping nothing unexpected happens. Over in Liu family village, Liu Li sat on the second floor balcony looking up at the moon. Wang Shuqin stood quietly by her side. It's been so many days now. What have you decided after thinking it through? Are you going to hold on or give up? Mom, I just can't let go of Wang Lin. You not being able to let go is useless. You have to see if he's even willing to accept you back, with how smart you are. How could you ever do such a brainless, stupid thing? Wang Shuqin asked about the underlying reason for the first time. He had dirt and leverage on me back then. If I didn't cooperate, I would have ended up in prison. Though that matter's already been dealt with and sorted out now. But your current issue right now is that Xiao Wang will find it extremely difficult to ever accept you back again. One day, I gave Chen Hai a phone call and told him I had some matters to attend to today. You'll be in full charge of the shop. Consider it a test, Brother Lin. You're trying to play the absentee boss only 2 days after opening. Chen Hai said helplessly, I actually do have things to do. Just look around and hire whoever fits the bill. Base salary around 5,000, with raises if performance is good. It's best to find a young girl to attract and draw in customers, and also create a chance for you to find a girlfriend yourself. Brother Lin, are you trying to squeeze and exploit your employee here? This is called the pretty girl effect, alright? The main focus is recruiting beauties. Hanging up the phone, I looked at my own reflection in the mirror and flashed a wicked, captivating smile. Liu Li, are you ready yet? After deep and thorough consideration, I still felt it was better to keep her close by my side, to make it convenient to observe the changes in her psychological state, and properly adjust my future plans accordingly. Besides, I was worried she might shake off her psychological shadows back in her hometown, and also feared dragging it out for too long, making my father-in-law and mother-in-law think I was filing for divorce. 3 hours later, I drove my car into Liu family village, honking my horn intermittently along the way. All the early risers in the village saw me. Isn't that Wang Lin? How come he's back here again? He probably hasn't gotten a divorce yet. Chances are he came back specifically to finalize the divorce. Liu Li is just way too shameless and lacks all decency. I turned a deaf ear to all these gossiping discussions. The objective had already been successfully achieved, getting the entire village to watch me forgive Liu Li and personally pick her up to bring her back home. The car parked right in front of Liu Li's house and right behind it. Sure enough, a bunch of neighborhood gossips trailed along to watch the show. I fixed my expression and stepped out of the car. My father-in-law and mother-in-law were already waiting at the doorway to welcome me. Xiao Wang, you're here? Have you thought things through? Liu Hua asked. Dad, I've thought it all through clearly. I love Liu Li, and I want to take her back home with me. But Liu Li's actions, I interrupted him and said, Dad, here's what I have to say, even if I told you, you wouldn't believe it either. So I have one condition. You say Liu Li must stay at home full-time from now on. I don't need her to work and make money. Just staying honestly at home is enough. This amounts to a disguised form of imprisonment. She will completely lose her right to socialize, leaving only me and the grocery vendors in her entire life. Liu Hua was still hesitating when Liu Li appeared on the second floor balcony, calling out with a face full of ecstatic joy. Hubby, I agreed to it. From now on, I'll stay home full time to wash clothes and cook for you. I only beg you to stop giving me the cold shoulder. Otherwise, I really will go crazy. Goodness gracious, Wang Lin is actually able to forgive Liu Li. Perhaps he really loves Liu Li deeply after all. This young man is truly wonderful, standing by her through thick and thin without abandoning her. Listening to the surrounding gossip and discussions, I gave a slight smile. Good wife. I might still be somewhat cold at the very beginning, but I will get used to her. Let's go home now. Liu Li threw herself into my arms, shedding tears of emotional excitement. Hubby, you're so good to me. Suppressing the deep disgust inside my heart, I held her tightly. Wife, let's go home. Xiao Wang really is such a good kid. Liu Li is so blessed to have this kind of luck from now on. Such a great man was practically ruined by her before. A surge of secret delight welled up inside my heart. My public persona and setup were now completely locked in and solidified. From now on, no matter what Liu Li says, nobody will believe her or side with her. After bidding farewell to my father-in-law and mother-in-law, I drove my car straight away, taking Liu Li with me. Inside the car, Liu Li kept calling out hubby over and over again, and I responded with annoyance. A wave of creepy chill shuddered through my heart. Hubby, you really won't give me the cold shoulder anymore from now on, right? Probably not. Well, actually, no. You have to let things take their natural course, okay? I'll try my best to be mindful of your feelings, I said with a hint of mounting irritation. As soon as we got back home, Liu Li tried to kiss me. I pressed against her forehead with my hand, saying I need time. I'm not used to intimate physical actions yet. She looked somewhat disappointed. I told her, you stay home and hang out for a bit first. I'm going to check on things down at the shop. Looking at the mess left around the house, Liu Li picked up the mop and started cleaning up. After finishing up the living room, she washed the dishes next and spent the afternoon deep cleaning the entire house from top to bottom. She noticed that the wedding photo on the bedside table was missing. Sitting slumped and dejected on the sofa in despair. Can a home without a wedding photo even be called a home anymore? He still hasn't completely forgiven me after all. When I got back home and saw the brand new spotless interior, I nodded in satisfaction. Liu Li was wearing her maid outfit, holding a cup of tea and bowing deeply. You've worked hard, hubby. Welcome back home. I accepted the warm tea and sat down. She stood behind me, massaging my shoulders and hammering my back. Hubby, did you hide our wedding photo somewhere? Got angry and burned it to ashes a while ago. The pressure of her shoulder massage suddenly intensified, her voice trembling. Can we go and take a new one together? I don't have the time nor the desire to take any photos. Things are pretty good just the way they are right now. Maybe I'll hang up some random trash art another day. I rejected her outright. Liu Li's eyes dimmed with bleak sorrow, her movement slowing down. A cold mocking sneer echoed in my heart. I will never take another wedding photo with her again for as long as I live. I never looked at her as a human being to begin with. After finishing enjoying her service and pampering, I got up and headed to wash up. Liu Li sat alone on the sofa, a faint glimmer of hope shining in her eyes. My attitude toward her was much better than before, and she finally caught a glimpse of hope. Brother Lin, the recruitment ad has been posted outside for a few days now. How come nobody's coming in to apply for jobs? Are our requirements set too high? Chen Hai asked with a worried expression. Didn't a few people drop by earlier? It was you who scared them off because they weren't pretty enough. I chuckled and said, those were all anti-level veterans. They didn't even look at the recruitment criteria properly. Take it slow. No rush. I looked down at my documents. Chen Hai lead a team over to Wanying Tech for interviews later. There are over 20 candidates this time. Take it seriously. Got it, boss. He hopped on his e-bike with a slouching carefree attitude and rode off. Over the past few days, Darren's reputation had finally spread far and wide. All the recruitment info and job listings were completely genuine and honest. Migrant workers were more than willing to come here to find jobs. Right at that moment, a young and attractive woman pushed open the door and walked in. I stood up, poured a cup of water, and asked her, beautiful, what kind of job are you looking for? Wang leaned, she took the cup of water and looked somewhat surprised. We've met before down at the bar. My name is Li Xiu. Turns out it's you. Seeing that we're acquaintances, the placement fee is on me completely waived. Mr. You're being so enthusiastic and warm. It'll make me misunderstand and think you have ulterior motives for me, you know. She flirted back teasingly. You're a beauty. It's totally normal for me to have ideas, but you've got to give me a chance first. Will you do me the honor of dining at Ya'an Hotel tonight? Li Xiu's cheeks flushed red as she picked up the water cup to take a sip. I knew when to quit and stopped while I was ahead. Just kidding around. What kind of work are you looking for? I saw your guy's recruitment post outside. and wondered if I might fit the bill. She said with a nervous, tentative tone. I used to do financial management and accounting. The factory's performance tanked, so I quit. I looked her over carefully. You fit the criteria and qualifications quite well. Let me take a look at your resume. Li Shu, pretty poetic name you've got there. I offered a compliment. You didn't even remember my name from before, did you? She rolled her eyes. Your professional background is solid, and we happen to be in urgent need of an accountant. I'm hiring you on as our financial director. How does that sound to you? Li Shu was ecstatic with joy, taking the contract and signing her name on the dotted line. You better not be pulling my leg and scamming me, okay? Our company only has 3 people right now. Total. Managing the finances makes you the financial director, doesn't it? Her expression instantly soured and she grew unhappy. I thought I was going to have subordinates under my command. Turns out it's just a tiny startup company. Once we expand and grow down the road, I'll assign subordinates to you. I laughed and reassured her. Since I'm the financial director now, my salary has to match this professional tier. I instantly regretted running my mouth off. According to the Nanjing market rate, a financial director pulls a monthly salary of 10,000 to 15,000. How about a monthly salary of 10,000 to start? We're friends, you know. How could you have the face to pay me at the bare minimum standard? She retorted with a challenge. I gritted my teeth and said 12,000, not a single penny more. Li Shu broke into a bright smile. It's a deal. When Chen Hai finished his interviews and came back, his eyes lit up the moment he caught sight of Li Shu. Chen Hai, this is our newly joined financial director Li Shu. Shu, this is our deputy director and errand runner. Chen Hai, feel free to boss him around if you need anything. Chen Hai glared at me in mock offense and put on a show of extending his hand. Hello, Miss Li Shu. Welcome to the team, Director Chen. Please take good care of me from now on. Li Shu gave a soft, gentle smile. Shu, you can head home for the day first and come back to start work tomorrow. Remember to get a laptop ready. After she left, Chen Hai leaned in close. Brother Lin, we were supposed to be hiring someone to lead interview teams. How did we end up recruiting a financial director instead? What's her monthly salary? I messed up and let my guard down. I originally just wanted her to manage the income and expenses. My brain must have short-circuited because I handed her the financial director position just like that. I gave a bitter, helpless smile. 12,000. Brother Lin, have you lost your mind? We might not even pull in that much profit ourselves in a month. Chen Hai exclaimed excitedly. The contract is already signed and sealed. We can't just pay 3 months' salary as a penalty to fire her now, can we? We'll just tough it out and get through the startup phase, I said with utter helplessness. Then what about my salary as the deputy boss? Does it gotta break the 10K mark too? I smacked him hard right across the top of his head. Keep on dreaming. In your wildest dreams, we're still in the early startup phase right now. How did the interview results turn out? Out of the 10 plus people who went in, a few spoiled kids thought the work was too dirty and quit on the spot. Chen Hai said with a jaded old school sigh. Kids these days really can't endure any hardship at all. Back in the day, I used to do every dirty and exhausting job imaginable. They're different from us. We have nobody behind us to lean on, while they have parents to support and buffer them, so they aren't nearly as desperate and hungry for money. I said, a wave of deep loneliness welling up inside my heart. The word parents is far too distant a concept for guys like us. Finishing up work and heading back home, Liu Li's outfit took me completely by surprise. She was dressed in a full flight attendant uniform, with black stockings paired against long stunning legs that stood out exceptionally eye-catching. Welcome back home, hubby. Dinner is all prepared and ready. Please partake in your meal, hubby. She bowed low with a curtsy. I reached out and lightly pinched her cheek. Don't wear this kind of outfit ever again in the future. Yeah, I don't like it. It's not that it doesn't look good. It's just that she doesn't deserve to wear it. I draped my jacket over the rack and walked into the kitchen to wash my hands and eat. During the meal, she used her stocking-clad feet to rub against my leg under the table. I gently stepped down on her toes, and she finally behaved and quieted down. Once dinner was finished, after washing the dishes, she sat down right beside me and tried to lean her head against my shoulder. I shifted further away to the side. She lay flat on the sofa in frustration, glaring at me with annoyance. Hubby, you said you wouldn't give me the cold shoulder anymore. I've worked hard all day and I can't even lean on you for a second. You can, but just not right now. I'm exhausted and going to take a shower first. Not long after, Liu Li pushed open the door and walked in, holding a bath towel, wanting to help scrub my back. I kept my eyes closed without saying a word. Thinking I had agreed by default, she walked over with joy lighting up her face. Afterward, under her attendance, I got dressed in my pajamas. Liu Li's face was flushed with warmth, yet her eyes were filled with lingering disappointment. She still hadn't managed to get her way in the end. Jerk, all I want as a child, is that really so wrong? Why won't you just grant me this? She complained to my back as I walked away. One day, I left the house without eating breakfast and arrived down at the shop. Li Shu was already sitting in my desk chair. To save money, I hadn't prepared a separate computer and desk for her yet. Wang Lin, the accounts for this company of yours are crystal clear at a single glance. Expenses at 30,000, while income is barely scraping past 3,000. I'm seriously doubting whether you'll even be able to pay my salary at the end of the month, she said without even lifting her head. The company is just starting up from scratch. It's completely normal for expenses to outpace revenue. Next month will be much better. Over 10 days since opening and revenue is only 3,000, just means we're actively making money, I said with a smile. She rolled her eyes in response. I smiled awkwardly. After finishing the breakfast that Chen Hai brought over, the foot traffic outside started picking up as well. Right then, two young and attractive women pushed open the door and walked in. Little Xiu, it's your first day on the job, so we came by to check on you. Chen Hai and my eyes lit up instantly, and we both rushed forward to greet them. Welcome, ladies. Thank you for inspecting our establishment. I handed over the drinks I had just bought. Hey, isn't this the handsome guy from the other night? Are you the boss here? Lo Yao said with a smile. Little Xiu isn't playing fair either. Keeping all the good stuff to herself, Qin Shui teased playfully. You guys shouldn't talk nonsense like that. The boss is already married. I'm not that kind of person at all. Li Xiu rushed to defend herself. Chen Hai slumped back into his chair feeling depressed. He felt like trying to find a girlfriend while hanging around me was harder than ascending to heaven. All the pretty girls kept swarming toward my side, without even casting a glance his way, with three beauties now hanging out in the shop. Passing youths kept turning their heads to take frequent peeks. Some of the bolder ones had already stepped right through the door. Boss, do you have any good jobs available? Chen Hai stepped up to greet them. My man, you've come to the right place. What kind of work are you looking for? The guy sneaked a sideways glance at the pretty girls nearby. Find me a factory that pays a high salary. Money is the most important thing. My man, you've got great awareness and priorities. A young guy should always put making money first. Chen Hai put on the look of someone who had just found a soulmate. I walked over to their group under the guise of helping out. Brother, did you see any jobs that catch your eye? I only have one single requirement. Nothing harmful to health. And a job paying no less than 5,000. The electronics factory Chen Hai recommended is pretty solid. Salary hits the mark. And there are tons of girls inside too. With someone taking the lead, coupled with the pretty girls drawing attention, more and more people were lured in to walk through our doors. Most people had their priorities straight and could see clearly, not letting checking out the pretty girls get in the way of finding a job. Though there were also those who completely lacked self-awareness, a high and mighty young man walked over to hit on them. Do any of you ladies have boyfriends? Qin Shuo and Luo Yao glanced up at him briefly, then went right back to staring at their phones. Completely naked and blatant disrespect, the young man's face turned dark and ugly, and he scurried away amidst the mocking, snickering gazes of the crowd around him. I gave a helpless, bitter smile and shook my head. The two of them brought in a massive wave of customer traffic, though it also caused a few easily slighted clients to walk out in a huff. Overall, however, it was a massive win. Within 2 hours, we had already signed up over 100 people, charging a 300 placement fee per person, piling up to over 30,000 in total. Even though it gets refunded if they don't successfully enter the factory floor, at least for now, the cash was safely tucked in our pockets. I poured 2 cups of water and walked over to Qin Shui and Luo Yao. Ladies, thank you both so much for bringing in so many potential clients. Well, lunchtime is almost here. Will you do me the honor of letting me treat you girls to lunch? Sure thing, Luo Yao exclaimed happily. Boss Wang, you just pulled in tens of thousands in revenue. If lunch costs less than 1,000, we're not going. Luo Yao, those funds haven't actually landed in his pocket yet. If he treats us, the boss might end up having to pay out of his own pocket for refunds, Li Xiu said with a trace of dissatisfaction. Little Xiu, acting like such a protective housewife, is seriously cute. Thinking we're eating up his hard-earned money? Luo Yao chuckled with a laugh. And you said you weren't keeping him all to yourself. Look at how fiercely protective you are of your man, Qin Shui chimed in playfully. Li Xiu grew flustered and angry out of embarrassment. Wisely pulling out my phone, I pretended to answer a call and walked out of the shop doors. Not long after, I drove the car with the 3 beauties on board and headed over to a rather decent hotel. Since Chen Hai had to lead a group for interviews, Qin Shui and Luo Yao only ordered around $500 worth of dishes, without truly trying to rip me off or slaughter my wallet. Seeing that the food was plenty, Li Xiu didn't order any extra either. Once lunch was finished, I carried the packed up takeout boxes and saw Qin Shui and Luo Yao off. Before bringing Li Xiu back to the shop with me, as soon as we stepped through the door, we were met with Chen Hai's resentful, complaining gaze. Brother Lin, we're sworn brothers. Doing this isn't very nice of you, is it? I awkwardly handed over the packaged takeout box. This time it was my mistake and oversight. I guarantee it won't happen again next time. Looking at the leftovers, his sense of grievance grew even deeper. You absolute jerk who forgets his bros the moment he sees a pretty girl. Li Shu said with schadenfreude, taking pleasure in his misery. You're totally done for. Deputy Director Chen is pissed. Tomorrow you can run the errands all by yourself. The afternoon was mostly quiet and uneventful. Until Chen Hai rushed over holding his phone and said urgently, Brother Lin, there's a beverage factory recruiting on Leapin website. They need to fill over a dozen department manager and supervisor vacancies. The compensation package looks pretty solid. Let me take a look at it. I instantly perked up with energy. If we pull off this single order, we could make a killing, right? Chen Hai said with a grin. Li Shu chimed in to explain according to headhunting rules. A successful hire yields a placement fee of 10% of their annual salary. That could easily mean over 200,000 in revenue. But that's strictly high-end headhunter territory. We don't have connections of that scale. I felt a stirring of temptation. Making over 200,000 in 20 plus days is genuinely alluring. Though I also knew full well we didn't have the chops for it yet. Money comes in so fast this way. Even I'm getting green with envy. What are you getting jealous for? We brought in over 30,000 today alone. And at the end of the day, we'll keep at least 10,000 net. Plus we have steady recurring streams of income. Our monthly intake won't be shabby at all. They only operate in the high-end corporate sector. When it comes to pure profit, we aren't lagging behind them by much. Li Shu reasoned out. Brother Lin, let's just focus our efforts on regular labor dispatch for now. We can't touch those high-end corporate industries yet. Chen Hai advised cautiously. I know playing it safe is the right move right now, but we can't just stop and stagnate here forever. We've got to aim higher and develop toward broader horizons. You guys don't want to live your whole lives stuck like this, do you? I said with absolute firmness in my voice. My mind was already mapped out with a clear blueprint. First accumulate 3 to 5 years of networks and capital, then consider breaking into the headhunting industry. If that's your grand vision, I'm totally down. As long as you don't default on my paycheck, I have zero objections. Li Shu pulled out her phone to scroll through short videos. Her assigned tasks for the day were already completed. Feeling bored hanging around the shop, I drove over to Yangfeng factory. This was one of the top-tier heavy-hitter factories in the local area. With fantastic employee benefits and working environments, I tried striking up a partnership several times and failed. So this was going to be my absolute last attempt, bribing the security guard with a pack of Zhonghua cigarettes. I smoothly slipped past security and entered the factory grounds. Making my way up to the HR manager's office, I pushed open the door with a smile and said, Good afternoon, Manager Su. Manager Su sighed helplessly. It's you again. We've already got our designated partnership agencies locked in. No matter how many more times you come knocking, it's useless. Manager Su, even if you already have partners, you wouldn't mind adding one more to the mix, right? Why not hear out my terms first? 7 for you, 3 for me. I went all out and made a massive sacrifice. This profit split left us with practically zero margins. Manager Su asked in utter astonishment, What did you just say? 7 for me, 3 for you, I nodded with a smile. That's right. I'll just take a tiny cut for my hard work. The smile blooming across Manager Su's face instantly turned radiant. He stood up and slapped my shoulder. Little brother Wang, I'm growing more and more fond of you by the day. From now on, all our recruitment will be handed entirely over to you. Hand it all to me. What about your other previous partner agencies? I asked with a hint of uncertainty. What other partners? You're the only partner I have. He laughed heartily. I forced a smile along with him, while cursing inwardly that this guy's surname Su was utterly greedy. He couldn't even agree to a 50-50 split before, yet the moment it became a 7-3 split in his favor, he agreed instantly. Others call me ruthless, but these guys are the ones who are truly insatiably greedy. Little brother Wang, I'm treating you to a meal today. At Shaoshan Grand Restaurant? We're heading over right now. Manager Su threw his arm around my shoulder and guided me toward the door. Naturally, I wasn't going to turn down this meal invitation. Greedy as he might be, his work efficiency was undeniably top-notch. After a few drinks went down, he insisted on pulling strings to hook me up with all sorts of entertainment. One day, I woke up holding my throbbing head and looked at the 2 young women sleeping soundly beside me. Memories of last night flooded back into my mind. I didn't feel any guilt. Doing business has always inherently involved these kinds of things. A man's simple pleasures only ever boil down to this much anyway. Drinking just makes it even harder to exercise self-control. Plus, they were way cleaner than Liu Li. I'd rather marry a reformed woman with a past than ever touch a cheating, unfaithful wife. Afterward, I got up, got dressed, and left the room, sending a message to Chen Hai on the side to get the recruitment info for Yangfeng Factory printed out immediately. Post the flyers outside and hand the digital copy over to Li Shu to process. I'll send the files over to him shortly. Brother Lin, you're an absolute legend. Yangfeng is a massive powerhouse factory. Word has it they need to hire several hundred workers. We're about to rake in a massive fortune again. After sending the message, I hailed a taxi and left the hotel behind. Along the way, the taxi driver handed me a tissue. My man, you might want to wipe that lipstick mark off your face. I looked at the bright red lipstick smudge reflected in the rearview mirror. A strange, creepy smile crept up the corner of my mouth. Taking the tissue, I wiped it off casually. Thanks, driver. When I got back home, Liu Li was sitting on the sofa looking utterly exhausted and haggard. She looked like she had waited up for me the entire night. Hearing the door open, she snapped her head around instantly, a look of joy lighting up her face. She had called my phone. Not a single one of the over 100 phone calls she placed had been answered. She had panicked long ago, yet didn't dare to step outside to search for me, so she could only wait anxiously. Hubby, you're back. She walked toward me with joy, but as she got close, the smile on her face gradually vanished. Reaching out to touch the lipstick mark on my cheek, the resentment she had been suppressing exploded instantly. Wong Lin, what is this? You better give me an explanation right now. Explain what? Work entertainment, went drinking with clients and hung out afterward. What's the big deal about that? I pushed her aside with a weary, exhausted expression. While I was showering, the sound of things being smashed and wrecked echoed from outside. I didn't pay it any mind, and went on with my shower leisurely. 10 odd minutes later, I walked out draped in a bath towel. The living room was an absolute mess of utter destruction. Yuli sat on the sofa with her hair disheveled like a wild banshee. I walked right up to stand in front of her. Squatting down, I tucked her loose hair behind her ears and said gently, Liu Li, once you're done venting your anger, go make breakfast. I'm starving. Liu Li looked at me in sheer disbelief. You're saying I'm throwing a tantrum? Trembling with fury, she snapped, fine. I'll give you a real tantrum to look at. She looked around frantically for something to smash, only to realize that everything smashable had already been wrecked. I closed in step by step, cornering her tight against the wall, deciding to change my plan on the fly. Perhaps this approach wouldn't be too bad either. What are you trying to do? Hit me then. Go ahead and strike me. I suddenly flashed a gentle smile, cupping her little face in both hands. You look so cute when you're angry. Liu Li froze in place, heart pounding wildly as she closed her eyes, wrapping both arms around my waist. I didn't kiss her lips, just planted a light kiss on her forehead. She opened her eyes, a mix of bashful shyness and lingering anger. Struggling as she protested, you go out whoring around and still dare to touch me. I refuse. Yet her resistance was weak and feeble. Her eyes filled with quiet anticipation. Amidst the struggle, she accidentally tugged off my bath towel. An hour later, Liu Li walked out of the bedroom completely satisfied, humming a cheerful tune, while cleaning up the scattered mess around the house. As for me, feeling sleep-deprived from last night, watching her act like a dutiful little housewife, I let out a cold sneer in my heart. Everything is right on track according to plan. She'll soon find out the true cost of betrayal. Hubby, why aren't you sleeping a bit longer? I brewed some black-bone chicken soup. Drink it while it's hot. I sat on the sofa scrolling through my phone, when Chen Hai sent a message, Brother Lin, out of the 30,000 brought in yesterday, 15,000 has officially cleared and settled in our account. I replied with a smile, great job. We lost half of those 100 people. That's a dead loss. Next time, let's strive to get everyone successfully placed into jobs and minimize profit leakage. Even though it's impossible, but we've got to upgrade our service so everyone thinks of our shop the moment they need to find a job. By the way, why didn't you show up today? Way too exhausted. Got dragged out by Manager Su last night for a wild all-inclusive VIP night out. Brother Lin, you've fallen and corrupted your morals, leaving me out of good stuff like that when I don't even have a girlfriend yet. Chen Hai's sense of grievance was way too deep. I quickly closed out of WeChat and switched over to a video app to binge dramas. Yuli heard everything clearly from the kitchen. Her expression turned complex and conflicted. Wang Lin has completely changed. He never used to step foot into those kinds of shady places before, and he didn't even try to hide it from her. Meaning, she didn't even have a valid reason to get mad. After all, she was the one who was unfaithful first. Hubby, the soup is ready. She walked into the living room carrying the bowl of soup. I waved gently, motioning for her to sit down beside me. Taking her hand, I praised her. Liu Li, you're truly so capable and hardworking. It's just a pity you pulled that brainless stunt. Our relationship can never go back to the way it used to be. Hubby, I was wrong. I don't dare expect you to treat me the way you used to. As long as you don't abandon or discard me, that's enough. She pleaded with tears in her eyes. Silly girl, don't ever say you were wrong from now on. It was my fault for not spending enough time with you before, which drove you to do such a foolish thing. I promise that from now on, you'll be able to see me every single day. That afternoon, I strolled into the shop in a leisurely manner. Li Xiu was sitting in front of the computer eating potato chips. I unceremoniously sat down right next to her and started snacking together. Boss, how on earth did you manage to land Yingfeng Factory yesterday? She asked while keeping her eyes glued to her show. By relying on my exceptional silver-tongued eloquence, of course. Stop tooting your own horn. How come you couldn't close the deal before then? I was busy, all right. the recruitment info for nearly 50 factories around town were all negotiated by me single-handedly. Yangfeng is a massive heavy hitter factory. I intentionally saved it for later. We couldn't possibly have 0 job listings right after our grand opening, could we? So you're saying you actually have some real skills after all. Obviously, otherwise, how could I be the boss while you're just an employee? Just as I was about to dish out some toxic motivational life advice, we got sucked into the plot. The shop quieted down, leaving only the sound of the TV drama playing. I reached blindly into the bag for potato chips, only to grab hold of Li Xiu's hand instead. What do you think you're doing? My hand isn't a bag of potato chips, you know, she scolded me. I let go in awkward embarrassment and quickly deflected. Look over there. He just pinned her against the wall. Li Xiu rolled her eyes at me and went right back to watching the show. When Chen Hai walked back in and caught this scene, instant irritation flared up. Aren't you guys crossing the line here? I'm out there busting my ass working while you two are sitting here binging dramas. I tossed a bag of snacks his way. Go sit over there and eat by yourself. It wasn't long before Chen Hai joined in and sat with us to watch the show. As the episode ended, Li Xiu's snacks were completely finished. I stood up feeling somewhat bored and uninspired, and said righteously, alright, that's it. You guys openly binge shows during work hours. You've got 0 respect for me as the boss here. Do you believe I'll dock your pay right now? Chen Hai stared in blank astonishment. Brother Lin, you're literally pulling the ladder away the moment you cross the bridge. I wasn't even watching, I said with righteous confidence. Li Xiu looked up and chimed in. You just have way too much pent-up energy. Why don't you hire a few more pretty female employees to blow off some steam? My eyes rolled around with a sudden idea, and I asked Xiu with a flattering tone, do your 2 besties have jobs right now? Would they be willing to come work here? Li Xiu scoffed. Don't even bother dreaming about messing with them. They aren't lacking in money whatsoever. Your tiny little startup company here, between the 2 of them, they could buy out over 200 places like this. And that's not even counting their family wealth. I swallowed hard in shock and disbelief. Never expected they were actually a pair of filthy rich heiresses. Looks like marrying into a high society tycoon's family isn't easy after all. I was just planning on marrying in as a kept son-in-law too. I joked around with a laugh. Which lucky rich family's son-in-law is this handsome guy planning to become? Lo Yao pushed open the door and stepped inside. Clearly having overheard my words, I stood up awkwardly, Sister Luo. I was just totally joking around. Well, I'm not joking at all. Are you going to pick me or Chen Shui? She asked with a mischievous giggle. Chen Hai cast a look of profound sympathy my way, pulled out his phone, pretended to answer a call, and bolted out the door. It's definitely you, Sister Luo. You're so cute and great with words, I said smoothly. Li Xiu chimed in with a scoff. Why didn't you pick Sister Qin Shui? She's gorgeous, sexy, and a filthy rich heiress too. She's just too cold and has that total Ice Queen vibe that makes me feel inferior. Sister Luo, you're way more approachable. So what you're saying is that I'm not as good as Qin Shui, huh? Lo Yao dropped her smile and questioned me with a challenging tone. This woman changes her facial expressions faster than flipping the page of a book. 1 second she's all smiles and sweet talk. The next second she turns as cold as frost. I never said anything like that. Sister Luo, you're definitely here to see Xiu anyway. You girls chat, I'm gonna head out first. I bolted away as if escaping from my life. Chatting with a woman who's looking to pick a fight means anything you say can and will be twisted against you. The absolute best move is to just walk away. Ha ha. The laughter of 2 women echoed out from inside the shop. Taking the cigarette handed over by Chen Hai, I squatted miserably on the curbside and lit it up. Brother Lin, I honestly think Xiu's words make total sense. You've got to assign a few pretty female subordinates to my team. Only then will I have any real motivation to work. I rolled my eyes at him. Do I have to find a wife for you too now? There are so many women walking into the shop every single day looking for jobs. If you spot one, you just recruit her directly yourself. I don't have the bandwidth to manage all that. Boss Lin, does that mean you approve? Chen Hai exclaimed happily. Do whatever you see fit. Just don't go hiring 5 or 6 at once. My wallet definitely can't handle that kind of load. Keep an eye on the shop. I'm heading back home first. Over the course of the next month, my life became a strict 2-point routine, commuting back and forth between home and the shop. The shop's operations completely stabilized, pulling in a minimum daily revenue of over 1,000 and on lucky days clearing over 5,000. After paying out all salaries, I was still pulling in tens of thousands a month. When I got back home, Liuli looked at my exhausted appearance. She had already grown completely accustomed to this lifestyle. After serving me breakfast, she would just sit on the sofa staring blankly toward the bedroom direction. Her eyes filled entirely with unwilling frustration. She wanted to exclusively possess everything about me, yet completely lacked the qualification to demand it. Hubby, can we truly never go back to the way things used to be? I made mistakes, but you've messed up and strayed too? Why can't we just forgive each other? If I heard those words come out of her mouth, I'd only respond with a cold sneer. What on earth gives her the right to talk about forgiveness? At the dining table, while enjoying the meal she painstakingly prepared, I suddenly spoke up. There's only 3 days left. Until Dad's 55th birthday, right? Hubby, thank you so much for remembering. Yeah, there's only 3 days left. If you're too busy, we don't have to go back. I furrowed my brows. What kind of nonsense are you saying? How could we possibly not go back for Dad's birthday? We'll head back in a couple of days and help Dad take care of some preparations beforehand. Hubby, you're truly so good to me. Right as she was speaking, Liu Li was suddenly struck by a wave of nausea and hurried frantically to the bathroom to throw up. Pregnant, that exact thought flashed instantly across my mind. I hadn't held back on touching her at all over this past month, so getting pregnant was entirely within expectations. I squatted down behind her, patting her back gently. Liu Li, let's go to the hospital and get checked out. Liu Li was more than willing to go get checked. She was convinced this was classic morning sickness and wanted to use a child to lock me down for good. Hubby, I'll wash up and we'll head right out. Then I drove her over to the hospital. After finishing the blood draw, we left the facility. Blood test results take 5 to 6 hours to come out. In the car, Liu Li acted spoiled and begged to go shopping for clothes. Ever since I brought her back home, she had never made a single demand like this. Now she probably figured that since she was carrying a child, her status was completely different. I let out a cold sneer in my heart but didn't refuse. Accompanying her shopping for over 2 hours, she ended up buying clothes exclusively for me instead. Yet, on the drive back home, she sent me over a dozen Taobao links for sexy, seductive roleplay outfits and asked me to pay for them. I agreed readily without hesitation. With Liu Li staying home full time, she only had the $100 daily grocery allowance I gave her, meaning if she wanted any extra money, she had no choice but to beg me for it. One day, I arrived early at the hospital to pick up the blood test report. Getting back into the car, I lit up a cigarette and only opened the envelope after calming my nerves. Liu Li was pregnant just as expected. Looks to be about 1 month along. The timeline lines up perfectly. Splendid, just splendid. Liu Li has no clue what's waiting for her down the road. Wonder if you'll be able to withstand what's coming. I flicked away the cigarette butt and drove over to the wet market to buy an old mother hen. Even if it's just for show, I've got to make her feel cared for. When I got back home, Liu Li was dressed up in a full bunny girl outfit. Hubby, I'm welcoming you home. Doesn't this outfit look good? It looks great. You, this little bunny, are carrying a little bunny inside you now. Go put on some proper clothes and stew this old mother hen so you can properly nourish your body. Don't worry. Only you get to see this. I'll put on clothes before heading to the kitchen. She grabbed a trench coat and slipped it on. But the old mother hen presented a tricky problem, hubby. I don't know how to slaughter a chicken. What a hassle. Go boil some hot water. I'll handle it. I took the old mother hen from her hands, grabbed a knife, and walked into the bathroom. 2 minutes later, I walked out carrying a headless chicken, washing my hands while saying, "Call me when the water boils. I'll come pluck the feathers." Liu Li stared at the clean, precise knife cut on the chicken's neck and stepped back 2 paces in fright, unconsciously imagining what she would look like if she were sliced clean in two. A wave of secret relief washed over her heart. That night when I didn't show up right away, actually my alibi from that night had a glaring loophole. All she had to do was spend $5,000 to $10,000 to hire a private investigator, and she would have easily discovered I rented an apartment 10 kilometers away. Yet she trusted me far too deeply and never doubted me for a single second. At lunchtime, Liu Li waited on me hand and foot like an obedient little bunny. The soup meant to nourish her body ended up mostly in my stomach. This lifestyle isn't bad at all, yet it's still not what I truly want. I miss the old Liu Li who had a little bit of spunk and attitude. That was the most perfect version etched in my memories. After cleaning up the dining table, Liu Li busied herself working in the kitchen, while I sat on the sofa smoking a cigarette, staring blankly in a trance toward the corner of the room. Should I actually let this child be born into the world? The kid is completely innocent after all. Would doing something like this be way too cruel? Yet the moment I recall Liu Li's betrayal, my heart grows colder and more ruthless by the second. This woman's child is better off never existing at all. Just as I was deep in thought, Liu Li stripped off her outer coat, leaving only her bunny girl outfit exposed. Leaning forward with both hands braced against the table, she whispered, "Close, hubby. I'm sorry I'm pregnant. We won't be able to sleep together anymore from now on. Though after 2 months, there'll be a safe period. I'll make it up to you then. If you really can't stand it, you can go outside, or I can help you out myself." She lowered her posture to the absolute minimum, even giving me permission to go out and find other women. You could tell she had grown deeply insecure and timid. I pulled her close and made her sit on my lap. Silly little fool, how could I ever go out looking for someone myself? I only ever go to those kinds of places for business entertainment. Just focus on resting up and nurturing the baby in peace. Liu Li leaned in, touchingly wanting to kiss me. I tilted my head and dodged away. Her kiss landed harmlessly on my cheek instead. These days, I'm just not used to kissing any woman at all. It all honestly feels nauseating. She didn't pay it any mind. Resting against my chest, hubby. If you're feeling pent up, I can help you take care of it. Forget it, I made a donation the other day. I've got zero urges these past few days. I refused, go change your clothes. We're heading back to your hometown. Dad's birthday is in 2 days. And it's about time your parents knew about your pregnancy too. I gave her fluffy bunny tail a playful tug. Liu Li didn't want to go back yet. She had no choice but to return. That was her own father after all. She stood up, planted a quick kiss on my cheek, and hopped excitedly into the bedroom. I wanted to make her understand clearly that only inside this 100 square meter apartment was she truly considered Liu Li. Once she stepped foot outside this home, she was nothing more than a woman scorned and spat upon by society. Then I'd slowly deepen her psychological dependence on this household bit by bit, and finally shatter the last remaining sanctuary left in her heart. After changing into regular clothes, Liu Li hid closely behind my back as we stepped out the front door. Every single time she ventured outside, it took a massive amount of courage for her to face the world. The surrounding cold glares and insults had never truly vanished. She could only endure them in silent submission, for fear of bringing trouble upon me. Only after getting into the car did her expression ease up a little. Though it still remained unnatural and tense, heading back to her hometown meant facing a massive crowd of relatives, and she simply couldn't handle those abnormal judgmental stares. All the way back, Liu Li barely uttered a word. The relaxed ease she felt at home versus the stifling oppression outside made her seem like a completely different person. Before nightfall, the car drove right into Lujia village. The moment we entered the village, Liu Li rolled up the car windows, trying to keep the news of her return a secret, even if she knew it couldn't be hidden for long. The ostracization and exclusion from one's own clan are often far more wounding than the verbal abuse of strangers. That's the extra bonus debuff of blood relations. Mom, Dad, have you guys been doing well lately? I asked with a flattering, diligent smile. Little Wang, how come you guys came back so early? Won't this delay or interfere with your work? Liu Hua asked with a smile on his face, his tone completely filled with genuine care and concern. That's right, you mustn't let anything mess with your career. Wang Shuqin chimed in to agree, while Liu Li stood off to the side acting like a transparent, invisible person, not even offering a single greeting. Mom, how could my work possibly be more important than Dad's birthday? I'm the boss now anyway, so taking a few days off is no big deal at all. You started your own company. What kind of business are you running? Liu Hua asked in puzzled confusion. Dad, I opened a labor agency. If anyone in the village needs a job, just send them my way and I'll help for free. That's not bad at all. Being your own boss means you don't have to take crap from anyone. I had just lit up a cigarette when I suddenly furrowed my brows and said to Liu Li, you should step aside and walk somewhere else. Secondhand smoke is bad for you. That sudden out-of-nowhere display of care made Liu Li inexplicably want to cry. She nodded quietly, Mom, Dad. I'm going to head to my room first. I'll come out to cook dinner in a bit. Let Mom handle the cooking. You just focus on resting properly, I said, watching her retreating back. Liu Hua fell into deep thought for a brief moment. Mom, Dad. Liu Li has been pregnant for over a month now, and coming back this time is specifically to share the good news with you guys. I put on a blissful, happy expression. The elderly couple were overjoyed. This child is an absolute blessing sent to save this household. I'm going to go catch an old mother hen to nourish Xiaoli back to health. Wang Shuqin stood up with a smile, Mom. Xiaoli doesn't really like drinking chicken soup. Whether she likes it or not, she's drinking it. If she refuses, I'll force it down her throat myself. The corners of my mouth twitched awkwardly. Having no idea how to respond to that, Liu Huan noticed my awkwardness and chimed in. Little Wang don't mind her. She just loves to chat like that. Our neighbors to the left and right began dropping by for visits one after another. Uncles and aunts, everyone. If any of your relatives are looking for work, feel free to send them my way. I guarantee I'll find them a satisfying job. As I spoke, I handed out my business cards. They're in Human Resources Cordiality. Little Wang is really making something of himself. Just a tiny little company, I said with feigned humility. Liu Hua suddenly turned to Liu Shengye and said, Old Ye, isn't your boy Xiao Yuan of age now? Why not let little Wang hook him up with a job? Instead of letting him rot at home playing video games all day? Really, little Wang, can you actually help Xiao Yuan find a job? Liu Shengye asked with excitement. Uncle Liu, as long as Xiao Yuan is willing to endure a little hardship, it'll be fine. Liu Shengye hurried back home in a rush and dragged Liu Yuan over not long after. Liu Yuan's face was pale and washed out. The classic look of someone suffering from a severe lack of exercise. Brother Lin, do you have any gigs that are on the lighter side? Anything too exhausting and I won't be able to handle it. Liu Yuan spoke up abruptly. No heavy physical labor for me. Just an 8-hour workday will do. You little punk, you're already out here being picky and choosy. Liu Shengye gave him a smack on the head, little Wang. Do your best to find him something relatively easy. I'm afraid he won't be able to take the pressure and will just run back home. Uncle Liu, I'll place Xiao Yuan into an electronics factory. The work isn't heavy at all. And there are tons of young people inside, plus plenty of girls too. Who knows, he might even bring a daughter-in-law back home for you, I said with a teasing laugh. One day, I woke up bright and early and stood out on the second floor balcony deep in thought. Ever since Liu Li got pregnant, her status and standing within this household had quietly risen. Yet her ultimate ending was already sealed long ago. Little Wang, waking up so early, what are your actual thoughts now that Liu Li is pregnant? Lu Hua suddenly stared right at me with a serious expression. I might not love her as much as I used to, but I still want this child. Because it's my flesh and blood? I wore a faint, subtle smile on my lips. Liu Hua lowered his guard and patted my shoulder. Little Wang, Liu Li is my daughter after all. Even if she messes up and does wrong, I still have to protect her. Hope you can understand, Dad. I don't believe in blood being thicker than water. After finishing breakfast, I strolled around the village, handing out cigarettes and chatting with the elders whenever I crossed paths with them. I needed to pull those relationships closer, so that if anything went down later, they'd most likely stand on my side. At noon, we had lunch over at Liu Shengye's place. 3 rounds of drinks down the hatch, he said with a flushed red face, Little Wang. With your conditions, you could totally find someone way better. Liu Li doesn't deserve you, you're just talking nonsense because you're drunk. Liu Sheng glared at him. I'm not saying anything wrong. Liu Shengye stiffened his neck in defiance, yet was intimidated by the fierce glare in Liu Shen's eyes. Swallowing the rest of his words back down his throat, I stepped in to smooth things over Uncle Shen. Don't get angry. Uncle Liu was just running his mouth because of the alcohol. I didn't take offense at all. Little Wang, I'm so sorry. I was speaking without thinking things through. Liu Shengye apologized sincerely, Uncle Shen. It's all good. Let's just eat. As I was leaving, Liu Shengye forcefully shoved cured sausages and 30 pounds of cured bacon into my hands. You're helping Xiao Yuan find a job. Consider this a token of my gratitude. If I took his money, it would make things awkward. Liu Wan, standing right behind us, suddenly asked Brother Lin, why won't you just divorce Sister Liu Li after everything she did to you and how she treated you? Xiao Yuan, you don't understand. Whether she's a match for me or not is for me alone to decide. My tone turned slightly cold and chilling. Don't ever say things like that in front of Liu Li again. She's pregnant and currently very sensitive. Liu Yuan glared at me with unconvinced defiance, yet didn't dare say another word. I dropped off the items, exchanged some polite words, and left. Returning to my father-in-law's house, I said, Dad, don't cook anything tomorrow. We're going out to eat. It's your birthday, so I've got to show my filial respect. Back in the bedroom, Liu Li looked at my alcohol-drenched, reeking body, furrowing her brows as she advised me, hubby, drink a bit less from now on. It's bad for your health. Having fun. Uncle Shen kept pressuring me to drink. And you can't just ignore an elder's face and reject them. I mumbled groggily as I lay down on the bed. She shook her head helplessly, poured a glass of water and placed it on the bedside table. Drink some water before you rest. Otherwise, your head will be pounding when you wake up. You should head out. Call me when dinner's ready. The smell of alcohol is bad for you. One day, I brought Liu Li and the elderly couple to the county town. My father-in-law's siblings and relatives all showed up. Adding up to over 20 people in total, I brought them all over to an all-you-can-eat hot pot restaurant, booking 2 tables for a little over $2,000. 3 rounds of drinks down the line, the atmosphere was warm and harmonious. The smiles on my father-in-law and mother-in-law's faces never stopped once. As they continuously praised and complimented me, Liu Li sat quietly on the side offering polite smiles, hardly speaking a single word. She was terrified the relatives would say harsh, vicious things to her. While fending off the relatives, I kept picking food and placing it in Liu Li's bowl. This act deeply amplified everyone's affection and fondness for me, while their impression of Liu Li steadily plummeted further and further. Brother-in-law, I heard you opened a labor agency. Are you still short on people? Can I get in on that? Luxing walked over holding a wine glass, draping his hand familiarly over my shoulder. Wang Shuxin's eyes twitched slightly, looking somewhat displeased and annoyed. Cousin Luxing, aren't you still in school? I asked in puzzled confusion. Brother-in-law, I graduated last year already. Have you forgotten? She corrected me with a clear scoff. Look at my terrible memory. I slapped my own forehead. You graduated from a Tier 2 university. Coming to work for me would be selling yourself short. Didn't third uncle want to hook you up with a teaching job? Teaching jobs are too hard to land right now. Instead of sitting around doing nothing, I might as well come work at your place. And try my luck in Nanjing while I'm at it. You can start out working at my place first, and I'll help you pull some strings and leverage my school connections. I agreed readily. Thanks, brother-in-law. I'm done drinking this. Now it's your turn. Luxing chugged down the cola in his glass in one go. You're totally bullying me here, kid. You're drinking cola while making me drink hard liquor, I said with a wry, bitter smile. Brother-in-law, just drink whatever you're comfortable with, he said with a sly, mischievous grin. Little Wang, I'll leave Luxing entirely in your hands. Third uncle stood up and said, Third uncle, it's only right, don't worry about it. Liu Li walked over carrying the birthday cake. Upon seeing Liu Xing's hand resting on my shoulder, her gaze turned somewhat hostile and unwelcoming. Ever since they were kids, they loved fighting over everything, and their relationship had always been terrible to say the least. Let's blow out the candles. Liu Li lit the candles. Liu Hua looked over at her. Her recent behavior had been passable and acceptable overall. Putting a softer expression on his face, after blowing out the candles, Luxing took charge of cutting and distributing the cake. Liu Li knew full well that any food she handed out personally would inevitably evoke disgust from others. Rather than suffering through that embarrassment, it was better to do nothing at all. Second uncle, I'm cutting you a huge piece. You've got to finish every last bite. Luxing handed over a slice of cake. Are you trying to stuff this old man to death, you little brat? Liu Hua laughed and scolded playfully. As a result, 4 or 5 little kids swarmed over around them, chanting noisily and demanding cake. Luxing shouted out in mock sternness, stop shouting and line up in an orderly queue. Anyone who breaks the rules gets their butt spanked. He really had a way with handling small children, almost looking like he had what it took to be a real teacher. Liu Li watched Liu Xing being surrounded by all the younger cousins, her eyes filled with a trace of desolate loneliness. Back in the past, moments like these always belonged exclusively to her. After the family gathering ended, I booked a few hotel rooms in the county town. Since everyone had been drinking and couldn't drive back tonight, as we were leaving, brother-in-law, remember to call me. If you dare run off, you'll be hearing from me next time. Luxing said, don't worry. You know where my family lives? I can't run away anywhere, I just wanted to save a bit of transport fare. He muttered softly in explanation. All right, I'm heading back first. Remember to call me, got it? He drove third uncle's car and took the family back home. Liu Li's mood was somewhat unsettled and out of sorts, always feeling a lingering sense of crisis. Perhaps because of Luxing, or perhaps because of something else. After getting the elderly couple and those staying behind properly settled, I clutched my head and said, help me back to the room. You should go book a separate room for yourself. I'm totally drunk and afraid I won't be able to control myself if I sober up. Liu Li didn't think much of it. Being pregnant, she also knew certain things couldn't be forced right now. Back in the hotel room, I fell fast asleep almost instantly. My alcohol tolerance isn't great, but my drinking manners are decent enough. I don't go around spouting nonsense or talking wild. One day, after finishing breakfast, I drove the elderly couple back home. Not long after, Liu Yuan, carrying a suitcase, was dropped off by Liu Shengye and his wife. Little Wang, this kid is completely in your hands now. Uncle Liu, don't worry, it's only right. We'll be heading out first. Then we picked up Liu Xing and left Lujia village behind us. As we returned home, Liu Li brewed some tea before heading out to buy groceries, with guests over at the house. As the female host, she needed to play her part properly. Even if she didn't like Liu Xing, basic etiquette couldn't be skipped. The moment she left, Liu Xing's boldness shot right up. Brother-in-law, what's the actual dynamic between you and my cousin right now? Why haven't you guys divorced yet? Liu Yuan also perked his ears up, listening closely. That's really none of your business, is it? If I got divorced, would you still be able to come to my house as my cousin-in-law's relative? I held my teacup and scoffed without that status. I've still got plenty of other identities. Would you still refuse to host him? He muttered under his breath. What did you just say? I didn't catch that clearly. What did you say? I didn't hear you clearly. I said, my cousin doesn't deserve you treating her this way, and you aren't worth wasting your time on her either. If Liu Li were to hear words like that, she'd probably start an all-out brawl. I looked at him with a serious expression, faint smile tugging at the corner of my mouth. Cousin Liu Xing, for you to be urging me to get a divorce like this? Don't tell me you've actually got feelings for me, huh? If your cousin found out, she'd fight you to the death? His face flushed slightly as a wave of annoyance swept over him. Brother-in-law, you're getting more and more full of yourself. If I actually had feelings for you back then, I would have snatched you up myself, leaving no chance for my cousin at all. So basically, I was only dumped onto your cousin because you looked down on me. I was speechless. That's entirely your own words. Has nothing to do with me, she retorted with a coquettish huff. The three of us attended the exact same university back in the day, and he'd always come hang out whenever he was free. My hand holding the teacup paused for a split second, as I cast a deep penetrating look his way, and fell silent sipping my tea. I picked up on his subtle hints and subtext, yet had no desire to hurt this quirky, mischievous girl. This whole ordeal had nothing to do with her. But if he insisted on inserting himself into the drama and stirring up trouble, I couldn't guarantee whether I'd end up taking action or not. Not long after Liu Li returned carrying bags of groceries, Finding the three of us sitting around watching TV without a single scene or trigger to provoke her anger, she forced a smile and headed straight into the kitchen to cook. "Let me help you out." Liu Xing followed right behind her inside. My eyes twitched slightly, sensing he was deliberately trying to compete and spar with Liu Li, or rather more like showing off his presence. Liu Li shifted aside to make a tiny bit of room, forcing herself to keep a smiling face even though she despised him. "How come my brother-in-law still makes you do all this heavy lifting?" The smile on Liu Li's face stiffened somewhat. "I'm only pregnant. It's not like I'm incapable of doing these kinds of chores. There's nothing wrong with doing a bit of cooking. But you're too busy and stressed, which is bad for the baby." Liu Li felt he was intentionally coming here just to piss her off. Given her current situation, how could she possibly lounge around resting leisurely like before? An hour later, the dishes were all laid out across the dining table. "Brother-in-law, guess which dish was made by me?" Liu Xing joked with a teasing smile. A flash of displeasure flickered across Liu Li's eyes, yet she kept her mouth shut. "I picked up a piece of sweet and sour pork spare ribs with my chopsticks. Never expected you actually knew how to make such a complicated dish. Your cooking skills are pretty solid. You didn't even taste it yet, you're just being way too perfunctory." She pouted her little lips in mock grievance. "You can tell it's good just by looking at the color." I popped it into my mouth. "The flavor is genuinely great. Must have practiced for a long time, huh? Obviously. Look who made it after all," she said with a proud haughty toss of her head. After dinner, I took Liu Xing and Lu Yun out with me. "Brother-in-law, help me find a place to rent." "Living at your house isn't really appropriate," Liu Xing said. "We'll go check some out in a bit." Arriving at the shop, I first arranged for Liu Xing's onboarding and paperwork, chatted idly with Li Xiu for a few moments, and left Liu Yuan behind in the shop to guard the fort and read over recruitment files, before taking Liu Xing out to look at apartments. After viewing 4 or 5 different places, she was finally satisfied. The monthly rent for the apartment was originally 1,500, yet she haggled and grinded with the landlord for a full hour, beating it down to 1,300. Is it really worth wasting so much time over just 200 bucks? I couldn't help asking, how could it not be worth it? I only have 5,000 bucks to my name in total right now. I've got to budget every single penny carefully. She dragged me along to the supermarket next, and it took over 3 hours before she finally finished buying everything she needed. By the time I was carrying all the massive bags and packages, I was so exhausted I felt like my arms were about to drop off. Yet she was acting as energetic as if nothing had happened at all. "Liu Xing, let's call it a day. Let's come back next time," I hurriedly urged and pleaded. She looked at me and giggled. "Brother-in-law, you're really out of shape, aren't you? Getting worn out and exhausted from walking just this little distance." Seeing my expression turn darker and darker by the second, her tone softened up. "Fine, I'll treat you to bubble tea then. Please, my good lady, I beg of you. Let's just head back. I literally can't carry any more bags." I led her toward the parking lot, and she obediently tagged along behind me, not daring to act up anymore. After dropping off all the items back at our rental place, I was drenched in sweat from head to toe. Is it really that exhausting? I honestly didn't think it was heavy at all. She handed over a tissue. "You're definitely not tired. Walking completely empty-handed the whole way like some grand old patriarch." I wiped my face haphazardly with the tissue. "I was just giving you a chance to show off your strength. You know, don't guys love busting their asses and showing off in front of pretty girls? Besides, you're my brother-in-law. Of course, heavy lifting like this gets handed over to you." She giggled playfully. I looked her up and down. "You're a pretty girl, all right. But where on earth do you look like some fragile, weak maiden? I bet your ab definition is even clearer and sharper than mine." Her face flushed slightly red as she pointed at me, so, "Brother-in-law, you're so wicked. I've never taken off my clothes in front of you, so how would you even know I have toned abs? Did you secretly peek at me or something?" I stopped talking and didn't respond. I merely cast a fleeting glance over her slender, delicate waistline, and had to admit all those years of practicing yoga hadn't gone to waste at all. Her figure was absolutely stellar. At 4:00 p.m., I brought Liu Xing back with me to the shop. With closing time fast approaching, the rest of the staff had all returned as well. Chen Hai's eyes lit up the moment he spotted us walking in. He scurried over and whispered, "Brother Lin, how come you had the free time to show up here? And you even brought a gorgeous babe along with you. Aren't you worried? My mouth might slip and spill the beans." He rubbed his hands together, demanding hush money. I laughed and gave him a light punch. "Stop talking nonsense. This is my cousin. She'll be working here from now on." Liu Xing smiled brightly, rolled her eyes at me, and skipped over to chat with the female employees. Chen Hai slung his arm around me as we stepped outside. "This cousin of yours is pretty solid. Way better looking than Liu Li. Are you going to consider making a move or what?" he said with a sleazy, mischievous grin. "What the hell are you even thinking? If the Liu family found out about that, they'd tear me limb from limb." I said with an exasperated eye roll, Go get a divorce first before even thinking about any of that. Right at that moment, Li Xiu squatted down beside me, Wang Lin. The commission split from the factories just came through. Totaling 50,000 in all? Got it. Just as we were talking. Liu Yuan came riding back on his little electric scooter, carrying a massive bag filled with drinks. This kid is actually quite proactive and thoughtful. Uncle Lu's worries were completely unnecessary after all. I smiled and praised Xiaoyan's doing great. Chen Hai picked up a bottle of beverage. Liu Yuan smiled awkwardly in response. Which factory are you planning to send Liu Yuan to? Chen Hai asked, lighting up a cigarette. Let's see what his own preference is first. If that doesn't work out, I'll pick one for him. After getting Liu Yuan's apartment sorted out, I drove Lu Xing back to her rental place, initially planning to turn right around and leave. She grabbed hold of my arm tightly. What's the big rush to head back for brother-in-law? Anyway, my cousin isn't even that important to you in the first place. Come on inside and have a cup of tea. Since her hospitality was too hard to turn down, I followed her into the apartment. She brought over 2 cups of hot tea, brother-in-law. Try my tea brewing skills, it's not bad at all. Not bad, truly a tea art master. Shall I give you a kiss as a reward? With that, she sat right down beside me, draping her hand over my shoulder. Brother-in-law, it's just the two of us here. Tell me honestly in secret, what kind of position does my cousin actually hold in your heart? Why on earth are you poking your nose into that? This is a matter strictly between me and your cousin. I reminded her. She pouted, my cousin doesn't deserve you. I'm planning to take her place instead. If she's not good enough, you think you are. I retorted with a mocking chuckle. Why wouldn't I be? Putting family relations aside, I'm pure and immaculate, without a single one of her flaws. If you agree, I'll be your very first, and absolute last man ever, she said with righteous confidence. Do you even know your cousin is pregnant? I know she's only a month or so along. Just get rid of it, simple as that. I calmed down and reasoned with Liu Xing. If I were to dump your cousin and hook up with you instead, how would you even have the face to face your own family members? How do you think they would point fingers and condemn you? I couldn't care less, since she lost her own moral integrity first. Who has the right to point fingers at me? Wang Lin, what else? Are you still holding on to and hesitating about? Are you really going to be this pathetic and spineless? She stated sharply, you call me pathetic and spineless. Aren't you even more so? She cuckolded you and you were still able to forgive her just like that. If this isn't being pathetic and spineless, what is? She pressed in closer, step by step. I love her. You love my ass. She sneered coldly from all our interactions these past few days. I haven't seen a single shred of love or affection from you toward her at all. It's pure unadulterated coldness and ruthlessness. My heart skipped a beat, speeding up. As I lowered my head to conceal my expression, how on earth did she figure this out? Where exactly did I mess up? Why aren't you saying anything? Did I hit a raw nerve? She pressed in relentlessly. You want to torment her, exact your revenge on her, and maybe even want her to die, don't you? Right. A cold, sharp glint flashed across my eyes. As I raised my head and stared straight at her, Liu Xing's appearance had completely disrupted all my carefully laid plans, forcing me to restructure my entire layout and factor this wild variable into the equation. I sat inside my car and lit up a cigarette, just staring up like that at Liu Xing's apartment window, until her lights went out, and only then did I roll up the car window. I didn't make a move on Liu Xing, nor did I promise her anything whatsoever, because everything remained unspoken and understood in absolute silence. Luli, thank goodness you're nowhere near as clever as your younger sister. Otherwise, things would genuinely be a massive headache for me. Letting out a soft, mocking chuckle, I stepped hard on the gas pedal and drove away. When I got back home, Liu Li was still sitting up waiting for me on the sofa, her pupils constricted instantly, upon spotting the faint red mark at the corner of my mouth and the subtle trace left on my cheek, which I had deliberately and intentionally left behind. I tossed my outer coat to her. Go to sleep early. You don't need to wait up for me from now on. Sometimes I might not even come back at all. She clutched the jacket and gave it a sniff, her expression turning uglier and more dreadful by the second. She clutched the jacket and gave it a sniff, her expression turning uglier and more dreadful by the second. She had recognized Liu Xing's distinct perfume scent immediately. She wanted to fly into a rage and interrogate me, yet lacked any tangible evidence whatsoever. Liu Xing, you even want to snatch my own man away from me. A deep consuming hatred burned in her eyes. After stepping out of the bathroom from taking a shower, she wrapped her arms around me and pulled me down onto the sofa. When she suddenly flashed an overly sweet, sugary smile, it gave me the absolute creeps. Hubby, nothing's going on between you and my younger sister, right? I'm just casually asking, I don't mean to blame you or anything, she said with a spoiled pouty whine. What on earth could possibly be going on between me and her? Don't go smearing people's reputations like that. She's your own cousin, for crying out loud, I said with a stern, serious tone. She pulled out the jacket. Then how come you have her perfume scent all over you? I was over at her place helping out all day long. So getting some of her scent on me is totally normal. The two of them stared dead into each other's eyes. Liuli suddenly planted a kiss on me, resting her head against my shoulder. Hubby, I'm sorry. I was just being way too sensitive. I scooped her up in my arms and walked into the bedroom Wi-Fi. It's time to get some rest. One day, pampered under Liu Li's attentive service. I left the house feeling refreshed and in high spirits. Liu Li stared at my car driving off, her gaze carrying a deep hidden meaning. Hubby, don't do anything that you'll end up regretting later on. If you dare to mess around with Luke Singh, don't blame me for being heartless. The moment I arrived at the company, a great piece of news was waiting for me. Wang Lin, a recruiting company in Nancheng, is looking to hire a sales manager with a 100,000 bounty reward. You should definitely be interested in this, Li Xiu said. Hearing that instantly piqued my interest. Sales department manager position, annual salary of 300,000 plus performance bonuses. The conditions and perks are pretty solid. Are we taking the gig or not? If we can't secure it within a month, we have to pay a 100,000 penalty fee. We're taking it. The manager from my previous company fits the criteria perfectly, and he's been wanting to quit that dead-end job for ages anyway. Shortly after, I immediately picked up my phone and scheduled a time to meet up with him. We'll meet up then and see if he's interested in making a move. As I was casually scrolling through short videos on my phone, a timid, fragile young voice rang out, "Boss, can you help me find a job, please?" I raised my head and my eyes lit up instantly. The girl was dressed in a pristine white long dress paired with clean white sneakers, possessing an adorable face and silky flowing dark hair, giving off an overall vibe of pure simple innocence. "Little sister, how come you're out looking for a job so early in the morning? I've got no money. What else am I supposed to do if I don't work?" She blinked her innocent wide eyes. "What kind of work are you looking for?" "I don't know how to do anything at all. Just looking for something relatively simple and easy." I handed her all the job listing files and brochures to pick from. She cradled the documents in her arms and sat down on the sofa. He sat down on the sofa, holding the documents. She said politely, "Boss, I suffer from severe decision paralysis. All of these jobs look pretty decent, and I honestly have no clue which one to pick." Puffing out her cheeks adorably, I stepped forward to guide her, pointing out the flaws and downsides of each factory. For some reason, I didn't want her getting tainted or worn down by a harsh factory environment. "Boss, you aren't lying to me, are you? Are these factories really as bad as you say?" Li Xiu pulled me aside. "Boss, don't go getting any bad ideas in your head. The shop is already at full capacity, so send her over to Mingyang Electronics Factory instead. They have interviews at 2:00 p.m. You should take her over there. I'm just worried she'll get bullied by people. Factories aren't that dark and sketchy. This is a lawful society we're living in now." I hesitated for a moment. "All right, fine." Returning to the girl's side, she pointed right at the picture of Mingyang Electronics Factory. "Boss, how about this one? Not bad. The salary is around 5,500. The work is pretty relaxed and flexible. It fits you well. Then I'll choose this one." "When is the interview?" "At 2 o'clock, I'll drive you over." When 2:00 p.m. rolled around, I drove her over to the factory for her interview, glancing at her through the rearview mirror. Han Ning Shuang. "My name is Wang Lin. If you ever need anything, feel free to look me up anytime." "Don't worry, boss. I'll protect myself properly. I'm not joking around with my life." I drove in silence. My fondness and affection for her weren't driven by base desire, but rather an instinctive urge to protect her. Her sheer innocence and purity struck right at the deepest part of my heart. I was terrified my own filth and corruption would stain her. "You don't need to call me boss. You can just call me Wang Lin." "Then I'll call you Wang Lin, all right. Calling you Brother Lin feels a bit weird and awkward." Arriving at Mingyang Electronics Factory, I helped her carry her luggage. "Thank you so much, good bosses, like you are way too rare nowadays." Her expression of gratitude was completely genuine, which felt very rewarding to hear. "Come with me, I'll take you in for your interview." "Wang Lin, will the people inside the factory bully new employees?" she asked, suddenly looking nervous. "No, right, don't worry. That's good. Human relationships and office politics are way too troublesome." "Ning Shuang, if I may ask casually, do you currently have a boyfriend?" I probed tentatively, and her face flushed red as she replied, "Nope, I don't. If I had a boyfriend, I wouldn't be out here working hard all by myself, would I?" "Are you planning on finding one anytime soon? There are plenty of handsome guys working here in the factory." A flash of desolate sadness flickered across her eyes. "Forget it. I'll just focus on earning money in peace first." For some inexplicable reason, I let out a soft sigh of relief. After bringing her straight to the office, I headed next door to find Wang Yu. "Brother Wang, long time no see." "Little brother Wang, what brings you here today? Aren't these tasks usually handled by your subordinate employees?" He said with a welcoming smile. "Coming here in person this time means you must need a favor from me. I brought a young girl along with me, and I want you to help arrange the absolute easiest position possible for her." I handed over a cigarette. He leaned out and took a peek at Han Shuang, then chuckled and said, "Did you fall for her or something?" I didn't bother to refute or deny it. "Then why didn't you just keep her working over at your own shop? The shop is already running at full capacity. Plus, I haven't even gotten a divorce yet." Hu Shoulian Xiaorong patted my shoulder. "Brother Wang, keeping that woman around is completely useless. You should get a divorce as soon as possible. The ultimate revenge is simply making yourself better and more successful." His words made me waver, Lu Li. What on earth am I supposed to do with you? Think about it carefully, my friend. Don't give up on your own chance at true love just because of her. He reminded me this girl is extremely pretty, so you need to make your move and make a decision fast. Otherwise, once she ends up becoming someone else's girlfriend, you're gonna regret it big time. I clenched my fist tightly. No way. I'll handle my own personal mess properly. Once I'm completely clean of this baggage, I'll go pursue her. Wang Yu gave a helpless shake of his head and walked into the adjoining office next door. Shortly after, Wang Yu set Han Ningshuang up with a nice clerk position. The salary and benefits were quite decent and reasonable. After all, pulling strings and using connections has its perks. I sat inside my car smoking a cigarette, with 5 or 6 cigarette butts littered under my feet. My feelings for Han Ningshuang were only a mild fondness, not yet reaching the level of actual love, whereas my feelings toward Lu Li were pure unadulterated hatred. Yet Wang Yu's words left a deep, profound impact on me. Maybe it really was time to let her go and free myself as well. Time to get a divorce. My future shouldn't be ruined and dragged down by her. Having figured it all out, the gloom and sorrow on my face dissipated completely. Half an hour later, Han Ningshuang came running out eagerly and excitedly. "Wang Lin, thank you so much for finding me such a wonderful job. As long as you're satisfied with it." I replied with a smile. "Where are you planning to stay now? The company dorms or renting somewhere outside?" She fidgeted bashfully. "I'm not really used to sharing a cramped dorm room. Are there any apartments for rent around here?" "There are plenty right around this area. Only about a 20-minute commute to work. And the rent is around 500 or so." I pointed toward the apartment buildings nearby. "Thank you." She grabbed her luggage, preparing to walk over. I called out to stop her. "Let me give you a ride over. I can help you check things out and compare options, so you don't end up getting scammed or ripped off by greedy landlords." Unable to find an excuse to refuse me, she had no choice but to get into my car. Shortly after, I drove her to look at and rent a nice one-bedroom apartment. Afterward, I helped her buy all the necessary daily supplies. Busy at it until 4 p.m. in the afternoon. "Wang Lin, thank you so much. Let me treat you to a meal to show my gratitude." She expressed thankfully. "No need for that. I've already scheduled a meeting with someone to discuss business. Let's do it next time." She looked a bit disappointed and let down. "Oh, alright, then go ahead and handle your business first." After dropping her off back at her place, Toy drove over to the cafe where I had arranged to meet with Yan Yu. 20-something minutes later, Yan Yu showed up, flashing a fist bump gesture at me as she walked inside. "Wang Lin, ever since you stopped working under my supervision, your guts have gotten a lot bigger, haven't they? Daring to tease and flirt with me over a phone call," she said playfully, putting on a mock angry expression the moment she sat down. Following that, I asked her whether she had any interest in jumping ship and changing jobs, though she also had her share of worries and concerns, not knowing what the work environment and culture were like over at that company. "How about I help you investigate and vet their work environment and internal systems first?" "Alright, gather the info and documents and I'll take a look. If you're not satisfied, forget it, then you brat are making money off my back, so you better compensate me properly. I'll treat you to a massive feast. You can order whatever your heart desires. Not right now, though. I've already eaten dinner. Let's do it next time." Right then, my phone chimed with a notification sound. It was a message sent by Han Ningshuang Wang Lin. "Thank you so much for today. I originally wanted to treat you to a meal, but you ran off." Along with a picture of a tasty-looking street snack. Yan Yu curiously leaned over and peeked at the screen, as I snapped a few photos and sent them over, teasing. "This little sister is quite pretty, you know." "How did you even add her?" I snatched my phone back in a flash. "Sister Yan, don't mess with me like that." Han Ningshuang quickly replied, "Wang Lin, is this your girlfriend? She's so gorgeous and has amazing temperament and vibe." "No, she's just my former supervisor. I was meeting her regarding some business, so," I explained hastily. "Explaining it like that definitely isn't gonna cut it." Yan Yu scoffed with a laugh. "Aren't you the one who caused this mess in? All my good impressions are completely ruined now. You'll just have to compensate me by selling yourself to me. How's that sound?" She said half-jokingly. "Forget it. I don't have the blessing for that. You'd probably despise me for not being pretty enough." A dangerous glint flashed across her eyes. The hairs on the back of my neck stood straight up. "Sister Yan, you're way too gorgeous. I'm completely unworthy of someone whose beauty puts flowers to shame and eclipses the moon. A face that sinks fish and descends wild geese. Absolute national beauty and breathtaking charm, all these words were practically made to describe you. Sitting inside my car, I wiped away a cold sweat, quoting classical idioms and showering Yanyu with compliments for a solid half hour before she finally decided to let me off the hook. This woman is seriously troublesome. If I couldn't beat her in a fight, I'd definitely make her get down on her knees and sing surrender. I lit up a cigarette and pulled out my phone. Han Ningshuang hadn't replied back yet. I let out a soft sigh and sent a text. Get some rest early tonight. You've got work bright and early tomorrow morning. She instantly replied in a split second with an OK emoji sticker. A slight smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. Looks like she wasn't angry at all. When I got back home, Liu Li was sitting by the dining table scrolling through her phone, with several dishes neatly laid out across the table. Hubby, you're back. You haven't eaten dinner yet, right? She tossed her phone aside and helped me take off my outer coat. You don't need to wait up for me in the future. Just go ahead and eat first. I've got something to discuss with you in a bit, I said with a cold, indifferent tone. Her hands unbuttoning my jacket paused for a split second. Her face instantly filled with worry and anxiety. Hubby, what is it you want to talk about? Let's eat first. I walked over to the dining table and started eating. After wolfing down a few hasty bites, I sat down on the sofa and lit up a cigarette. Liu Li walked over and stood right in front of me. The drifting smoke blew right against her face. Hubby, what were you trying to say? She asked in a soft, apprehensive voice. I closed my eyes and took a deep drag of the cigarettes. Liu Li, let's get a divorce. She raised her head and stared straight at me. Shocked and furious, she demanded why. Haven't I done enough and been good enough already? I'm already pregnant with your child. And now you're talking about a divorce? I completely refuse. It's useless. Even if you refuse, it won't change a thing. I've already made up my mind. Let's not drag this to court and make a messy scene. Let's leave each other a bit of dignity and face. Is it because of Luxing? She shrieked in a furious roar. I opened my eyes and said calmly, you look really ugly when you lose your temper like that. Are you gonna answer me or not? Just tell me if it is or isn't. Answer me, no it's not. It has nothing to do with her. Wanting a divorce is something I figured out on my own terms. Calm down and think about it rationally. Getting a divorce is for the best for both of us. I'll wait to hear your answer tomorrow morning. Right after that, she threw her arms around my legs, sobbing and pleading. Hubby, please don't go. I don't want a divorce. Please forgive me for the sake of the child. I promise I'll be a good girl and behave from now on. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I remained completely unmoved and indifferent. Liu Li, our relationship was completely destroyed by you and you alone. You have zero right to beg me. I pried her hands apart and pulled away, and strode straight toward the front door. Wang Lin, if you dare walk out that door, I'll kill myself right here and show you. She sat down hard on the floor and shrieked, do whatever you want. I'll be back tomorrow morning to collect your corpse. I closed the bedroom door and sat inside my car. A hint of lingering sadness on my face, though a sense of release and liberation outweighed it all. 3 or 4 years of relationship dissolving it like this might be for the best. Shortly after, I made a phone call to my father-in-law. Dad, this is the very last time I'll ever call you Dad. Thank you for taking care of me these past few years. I've decided to get a divorce from Liu Li. Why weren't things totally fine between you guys just recently? There is no why. Once love is gone, forcing yourselves together is just putting on a fake act. I'm exhausted. With that, I hung up the phone. Back at home, Liu Li sat dazed and blank in the middle of the chaotic, messy living room. As her phone kept buzzing and ringing continuously, she snatched the phone up and hurled it straight against the wall, shattering it into several pieces. Later on, I called Chen Hai out to grab drinks and blow off some steam. Brother Lin, it's best if you can finally see things clearly. That kind of woman. You don't need to settle for someone like her. She used to occupy my entire heart back then. That was in the past. She's the one who trashed and trampled on the love you gave her. Dwelling on the past is completely useless. In a marriage, betrayal is the most disgraceful thing of all. Once unfaithful, never trusted for a lifetime. She's pregnant. I know she's only a month along and it hasn't even formed yet. After the divorce, she'll handle it herself. You don't need to feel any sense of guilt or indebtedness. A complicated, bitter smile surfaced on my face. Not knowing whether it was sorrow or joy, this life is seriously fucked up. I busted my ass working myself to the bone to earn money and support the family, only to end up with this exact result in the end. Are women really all that impossible to please? If you're broke, they despise you. If you're busy making money, they complain that nobody's keeping them company. Brother Lin, this is just cold reality. Everything revolves around money nowadays. Like they say on the internet, the wealthy end up happily married, while the broke ones just get to stand by and watch with their own eyes. You have the ability to make money, so you'll never lack women. What you lack is someone genuine willing to grow old by your side until your hair turns white. Since Liu Li doesn't deserve it, just go find someone who actually does. Chen Hai had drunk too much, so his tongue loosened up a lot. Yeah, the wealthy end up happily married, while the broke ones just stand by and watch. Chasing that bag and making money is what truly matters most. Last night I drank until I puked, kept drinking, and puked all over again. I honestly have no clue how the night even ended. Rubbing my throbbing, pounding head, I sat up. The surrounding environment felt completely unfamiliar. It wasn't a hotel room. I just wanted to hurry back and settle the divorce thing. I stood up, couldn't find the bathroom, and pushed open the door to walk out of the room. A wave of fragrant aroma drifted over. And I actually saw Li Shi Wanglin. "You're awake?" She set down the spoon she was using to stir the congee and walked over. "Why on earth did you drink so much? Seeing you yesterday, I was honestly scared you'd drink yourself to death." "Xiu, is this your place? How did you end up bringing me here? You called me while you were drunk out of your mind like a stray dog, and made me come pick you up," she said with a look of disdain. "If I hadn't been worried, nobody would pay my salary anymore. I wouldn't have bothered bringing you back here at all." "My bad. Thank you for yesterday." I chuckled awkwardly and turned around wanting to make a run for it. "What are you panicking for? Take a look at the sleep crust in the corners of your eyes, and your hair is an absolute mess like a bird's nest. Do you seriously have the nerve to walk out looking like that? Go wash up over there first." She grabbed hold of my arm, stopping me. I instinctively touched the corner of my eye, wishing I could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. Fleeing in a panic, I bolted straight into the bathroom and grabbed a towel to wipe my face, only to turn around and spot Li Shiyu standing at the doorway with a blushing face. "Are you trying to get yourself killed? You used my personal bath towel to wipe your face. Did you do that on purpose or what?" She snatched the towel back, burning with shamed anger. "My bad, it's just a habit. I completely forgot this was your place," I explained sheepishly. She tossed a brand new towel at me. "Don't you dare mess with my things again." With that, she grabbed the towel I had just used and walked away. After frantically washing up, I stepped out of the bathroom. My old face flushed bright red as I faced Li Shiyu. "Shiyu, thank you so much. I'll be heading out first. I cooked some millet congee drink a bowl before you leave," since her hospitality was too hard to turn down. I sat back down. "I'm taking the day off from work today." "Boss, do whatever you want with that." She brought out 2 small dishes of side snacks. "I won't dock your pay for it." I drank my congee with a guilty conscience. "Why did you drink so heavily yesterday?" "Because of your wife." I set my spoon down. "You could say that, yeah. Though everything's already been dealt with and sorted out, from now on, she's no longer my wife. I'm single now, baby. I'll give you a chance to chase me, so you better seize it." I joked playfully, "Get out of here." "In your dreams?" She rolled her eyes and ignored me completely. When I got back home, the living room was an absolute mess, strewn with debris. I kicked a piece of shattered plastic aside and walked into the house. Liu Li was sitting on the sofa, completely unresponsive. "Have you thought it over yet?" I asked calmly. She still didn't move an inch. It wasn't until I reached out and gave her a light nudge that her eyes turned red. And she muttered in a hoarse, raspy voice, "Please don't force me." "Okay. We've had years of our relationship. Let's part ways amicably and peacefully. That'll be for the best for both of us." "Wang Ling, have you ever truly loved me?" I fell silent for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, I did. But that only applied to before you messed everything up. You think I find you dirty? Whether your physical body is dirty or not doesn't even matter. If I actually minded that, I wouldn't have touched you in the first place. What matters is that your heart changed. You're no longer the Liu Li I used to know and recognize. My love for you has already vanished completely. Forcefully staying together right now means you're no different to me than a casual hookup partner. No longer my wife, and definitely not my spouse. Is that really how it is?" She muttered in a daze, her eyes wandering and unfocused. I pulled out the divorce agreement papers. "Liu Li, let go. I don't want to drag this toxic mess out anymore. Just sign it." She snatched the agreement papers from my hand and ripped them into tiny fragments. I didn't try to stop her. Ripping them up won't change a thing. I have plenty more copies right here. This divorce is happening today, no matter what. I refuse. I'm not signing. She shouted in furious anger. "Is this even funny to you? Whether you sign or not, this marriage is ending. At worst, it'll just be a bit more troublesome for me. We don't need to drag this down to such an ugly level. We used to have genuine feelings, so parting ways cleanly is good for everyone." "Good for you, you mean? Look at my current life, getting gossiped about online everywhere I go, and facing cold glares and stares the moment I step outside. If we get a divorce, what am I supposed to do? Are you trying to drive me to my death, or what?" She shrieked in a furious roar, and I snapped as well. "This is entirely your own fault and doing. Did I tell you to go cheat on me? Did I force you into it? What kind of right do you have to blame me? You're the one who failed me and broke my trust first." Liu Li suddenly quieted down completely. "Thanks for still being willing to give me those 200,000 or so. It's nothing. Consider it payment for me sleeping with a cheap hooker like you for all these years, no?" I sneered mockingly, and she clenched her fist tight, glares at me with vicious, murderous eyes. "What the hell do you take me for? Some streetwalker out on the corners? You're not. You're way more despicable and detestable than them." They do it for money, but what the hell did you do it for? She gritted her teeth and signed her name. Fine, I signed it. But the money isn't enough. I've still got your child in my belly. You have to take responsibility. I'll give you another 50,000 as compensation. From this moment on, we're completely even and square. She let out a cold, bitter sneer. One final question, have you ever betrayed me? I put the agreement papers away, not before. Afterward, I've hooked up with at least 5 different women. Turns out you're no better than me after all. We both betrayed this marriage. If thinking that way makes you feel a little better inside, I've got no objections, I said with total indifference. Pack your things. We're heading to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register the divorce. Can you at least tell me why you suddenly wanted a divorce out of nowhere? I ignored her entirely and walked straight out the door holding the agreement papers. The moment I got downstairs, my parents-in-law blocked my path. Little Wong, what did that phone call of yours yesterday mean? Why are you suddenly talking about getting a divorce? Did Liu Li mess up and do something wrong again? My father-in-law asked anxiously. No, it's just a mental hurdle I can't ever get past in my heart. Ever since that incident happened with her, I've been thinking about getting a divorce nonstop. Today is just when I finally made up my mind. We're heading to the Civil Affairs Bureau right now. If you guys want to tag along, get in the car. My tone was cold, calm, and utterly detached. Liu Li came out and lowered her head in shame upon seeing her parents. My father-in-law raised his hand and slapped her hard across the face. Liu Li, what kind of reckless bastardly thing did you pull this time? She clutched her bruised cheek and wiped away the trace of blood at the corner of her mouth, staring defiantly at her father. This is my own personal business. It's none of your business, leave me alone. My father-in-law clutched his chest in anger, wheezing heavily. My mother-in-law hurried to comfort him. Old Liu, don't get so worked up and angry. Liu Li's tone softened down. Dad, stay out of this matter. He's set on divorcing me, and even if I worked myself to the bone like a beast of burden, I can't win him back anymore. Instead of living life crawling around in such lowliness and humiliation, it's better to just get a divorce. I stood off to the side, watching with a cold, detached eye. When my father-in-law flared up in anger, I raised my hand, wanting to comfort him. Hesitated for a few seconds, then dropped my hand back down. We're getting a divorce anyway. He and my mother-in-law would have zero relation to me anymore from here on out. I didn't want to sink any deeper into this mess. To tell you the honest truth, my fondness and respect for the two elders was 100 times higher than for Liu Li. And deep down, I actually felt a tiny twinge of reluctance to let them go. After Liu Huaxun caught his breath, he pointed at Liu Li and couldn't squeeze out a single word for the longest time. The crowd of onlookers and nosy neighbors gathering around grew larger and larger. I started feeling a bit impatient and averse. Whatever you got to say it back at home. If Liu Li still wants to come with me to the Civil Affairs Bureau, get in the car right now if you're coming. I'm a busy man with no time to waste dragging this out. Liu Huaxun took one look at me and helplessly dropped his hand. Screw it, I'm staying out of your young folks' business. I won't meddle anymore. Shuqin, let's head back home. He could understand why I wanted a divorce, yet he couldn't bring himself to utter words urging me and Liu Li to keep staying together. It was just too utterly humiliating and shameful. At that moment, he actually felt a hint of self-hatred for not being wealthy. Maybe if he had money, he could have still managed to keep me around. Wang Shuqin glanced back and forth between Liu Li and me, which finally melted away into a heavy sigh. She stepped forward and gave me a light hug. Little Wang, you're a genuinely good kid. I'm not going to try to persuade you, nor am I going to blame you. It's simply my daughter who isn't worthy of you. My heart twitched softly for a split second. I opened my mouth, but all that remained was icy detachment. Mom, you've been a wonderful mother-in-law. I won't let Liu Li's mistakes bleed over and hold you guys accountable. Take good care of your health from now on. Human beings aren't made of unfeeling wood or stone, so I couldn't completely shut off my emotions and act ruthlessly cold. Wang Shuqin cast one final look at me, then turned around and hurried off after Liu Huaxun. I looked coldly at Liu Li. Let's move. She glanced in the direction where her parents had left and then looked around at the pointing, gossiping crowd. With a calm expression, she opened the car door and got inside. I lit up a cigarette and got into the car as well. Rolling down the window to toss away the cigarette I had only taken 2 puffs of, maybe out of pure habit, or perhaps as a final shred of gentleness toward her. At 10:00 a.m., we arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau. I handed over the divorce agreement papers and our identification documents. The staff member collected everything and looked between us, attempting to mediate. Have you two really thought this through carefully? True bonds are hard to come by. Don't make a decision out of temporary impulse that you'll regret later. I flashed a gentle, warm smile. We've thought it through. Meeting the wrong person at the right time, just passing each other by, is its own kind of fate as well. Liu Li suddenly felt a wave of regret wash over her. Yet her pride was too big to lower her face and beg me. Noticing her hesitation, the staff member continued to advise living life together bound to have bumps and bruises along the way. That's just what a real home looks like. Can you tell me the reason for wanting this divorce? I looked at Liu Li and chuckled softly. Liu Li, she wants to know the reason. Should I save you a bit of face here? The staff member understood instantly and stopped pressing further. Since it falls under personal privacy, I won't pry into it anymore. But mutual understanding and respect are always a must. Liu Li bit down hard on her lower lip as tears slid silently down her face. Yet she didn't beg for forgiveness this time. She could clearly sense that I had let go completely, without even an ounce of desire for revenge left in me. Her tears felt as though they were dripping directly into my heart, causing a faint, dull ache. The smile on my face gradually faded away. I loved her for 3 or 4 solid years, and still retained the habit of disliking the sight of her crying. Yet now, I could no longer look after or manage her affairs. Having finally managed to drop the urge for revenge, how could I stay trapped in this abyss? Getting a divorce is the best possible destination for her. The information has been entered into the system. You both have a 30-day cooling off period. If you change your minds, you can come back to cancel the registration anytime. The staff member handed back our documents. I packed my things away and said with a blank expression, "Thank you." I didn't bother paying attention to Liu Li anymore and walked straight out. She hurried after me in quick steps, with her eyes red and puffy following right behind me. I squatted down under the large tree outside the door and lit up a cigarette, watching people walking in and out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Here there were smiles and here there was cold indifference. It was the beginning of a brand new life, and also the ending of an old chapter. Everyone has their own unique story to tell. Liu Li, once the house is sold, I'll contact you. I walked toward my car without ever looking back. Liu Li reached out a hand, wanting to pull me back and keep me, yet the words died in her throat and she couldn't utter them. Watching the car drive off into the distance, she collapsed and squatted down on the ground, crying in absolute silence. Behind every pitiful person lies something detestable. All of this was brought upon her by her own actions. She destroyed the most precious thing she ever had. I wandered around Nanjing aimlessly with no destination in mind. In this city where I had lived for over 20 years, for the very first time it felt overwhelmingly lonely. When heartbroken, there wasn't even a proper place to lie down and rest. A home is truly a home, because there are people inside whom you care about. Without those things, it's nothing more than a structure piled up with concrete bricks and mortar. It's over. Everything is finally over. Yet, I Wanglin am still Wanglin. During the cooling off period, I quickly put our marital home up on the market for sale, and it ultimately closed and sold for 800,000, which was over 200,000 lower than the market value. I called Liu Li and notified her to come back home and clear out her personal belongings. This was our very last moment of solitude before our divorce became final. While packing her things, Liu Li suddenly embraced me from behind, sobbing uncontrollably as she poured her heart out, filled with deep, bitter regret. Confessing that she shouldn't have let greed cloud her judgment back then, I fell silent for a moment, then pulled out 400,000 in cash and handed it to her. You stated that this would be the final compensation, on the strict condition that she had to get rid of the child. Although Liu Li was extremely reluctant and unwilling, I refused to have any further entanglement or interactions with her whatsoever. She probably knew that even if the child were to be born, there would never be any possibility between us again. In the end, she still agreed to my terms. After accompanying her to get rid of the child, I sent her back to her hometown to rest and recover her health. Right before she left, I only uttered a single phrase: "Take good care of yourself, and don't walk down the wrong path ever again," before turning around and walking away, without looking back even once, completely severing this toxic, ill-fated connection once and for all. Afterward, whenever I had free time, I would still go visit Han Shuang over at Mingyang Electronics Factory. Yet after interacting and communicating with her multiple times, I finally realized that I didn't actually love her. What I felt was merely a protective instinct. Moreover, our life experiences and core values weren't on the same wavelength at all. Even though I could pursue that connection if I wanted to, it ultimately wouldn't last long term. At that point, I completely let go of that protective urge lingering in my heart as well. Time just kept ticking away day after day like that, and I poured every single ounce of my time and energy into my work. Li Xiu was truly exceptional and outstanding. She considered everything from the perspective of the company and me in all things. Today, the moment I arrived at the company, Li Xiu hurried over to greet me. "Wang Lin, I need to talk to you about something. It's concerning the Nankung Group." Right after that, Li Xiu logged into her personal account in front of the computer, flipped through a neatly organized set of notes, and said, "I know you've been wanting to gather job and position info on their company lately, so I looked it up for you. Their previous hospital sales manager only resigned due to personal reasons, plus they even sent over some videos showcasing their actual work environment. Also, I did some digging online, and their general manager Tang Yu seems like a pretty decent person overall. There are basically zero negative news or scandals surrounding him. so phenomena like bullying or oppressing employees probably won't happen there. Sister Shayu, you had the day off today? Don't tell me you spent it researching all of this. Oh gosh, I can practically smell that thick, lady of the house vibe radiating off of you. You're seriously so virtuous wifey material and capable. If I were the boss, I'd definitely marry you on the spot. The employee Lucy chimed in playfully from the side. Li Xiu shot her a side-eye glance and said with mock annoyance, then you better hurry up and start sucking up to me. Otherwise, I might just fire your ass one of these days. Or dock your hard-earned salary. Little sister Lucy. From now on, you're destined to bow down and submit. Under Sister Shayu's tyrannical might, Li Min laughed from the side. Sister Shiu, please no. I was wrong. Lucy put on an exaggerated, pitiful puppy dog face. As for the playful jokes made by those girls, I didn't take them seriously at all. Yet, truth be told, I could actually sense that Li Shiu seemed a little different toward me, and deep down, I didn't seem to feel any aversion toward her either. After carefully reviewing the documents and notes Li Shiu had prepared, I finally raised my head and said, Shiu, thank you so much. This is precisely what I needed. To demonstrate my sincerity, I plan to personally deliver the materials into Yanyu's hand the very next day, to ensure this collaboration carrying a 100,000 bounty reward could successfully close and materialize. To express my gratitude for all the hard work put in by the employees, I treated the entire staff to a massive feast. During the gathering, Li Xiu told me privately, this meal is just a collective company perk, so you're gonna have to treat me to a separate one by yourself. I agreed with a smile. Later on, I successfully facilitated Yanyu joining the Nankong group and pocketed the 100,000 bounty reward. Several days later, Chenhai Li Xiu and I got together for a casual get-together at an open-air food stall. Taking advantage of the alcohol buzz, Li Xiu dropped a subtle hint that after a divorce, it's about time to consider a new chapter in life, and that people right by your side might actually be a great choice. I pretended to be completely clueless and cleverly steered the conversation away, avoiding the topic. Li Xiu casually brought up the matter of the house sale, calculating that I had lost over 200,000 on the deal. That was when I finally realized I had been scammed and ripped off by the real estate agency. Yet unwilling to waste any more energy and time dragging out a dispute, I chose to let the matter rest and keep the peace. 1 year later, with the dedicated help of Chen Hai and Li Xiu, the company's business continued to steadily grow and rise amidst stability. As the amount of time I spent interacting with Li Xiu increased day by day, our relationship evolved into something extremely subtle and delicate. Liu Xing would still come over to pester and entangle me from time to time. Yet I always treated her with total calmness and indifference, never giving her any false hope. Later on, when I planned to buy a new house, I actively invited Li Xiu to come along and check out properties together. Leveraging her sharp bargaining experience and deep understanding of the real estate market, she helped me slash 250,000 off the house price, saving a hefty sum of expenses after signing the property purchase contract. I joked around and said, I'll leave the house interior design and renovation entirely up to you. After all, we're going to be living together here in the future anyway. Subtly hinting at the evolving status of our relationship, Li Xiu's cheeks flushed a soft, delicate red, and she replied with bashful shyness, we'll see how you perform first. When processing the real estate paperwork for the first time, it turned out I had only written down my own name on the deed. Noticing this, Li Xiu teased, you really are a true businessman through and through. Always keeping a backup plan ready, huh? We bantered back and forth playfully, and the ambiguous, romantic tension between us continued to heat up and rise. When leaving the real estate center, Li Xiu proactively stood on her tiptoes and kissed me on the cheek. That single kiss officially confirmed and locked in our romantic relationship. I immediately grabbed her hand and headed right back inside the real estate center to add Li Xiu's name onto the property ownership deed as well. We picked out an interior renovation company together, and when determining the overall design style for the house, I completely respected Li Xiu's personal preferences and fully cooperated with all of her ideas throughout the entire process. During the renovation period, Li Xiu and I officially went public with our relationship down at the shop. The employees burst into enthusiastic applause to celebrate. Luxing happened to drop by the shop on this very day. Although she was utterly devastated and filled with immense loss, she could only offer her silent blessings. Being as smart as she was, she probably figured out long ago that I would never choose her. She just refused to give up hope until the very end. Now the time had finally come for her to bow out completely for good. Chen Hai patted me firmly on the shoulder, genuinely happy that I had broken free from the past, and finally found true happiness. As for our company, the reputation of Darren Human Resources Karmerliltil grew stronger by the day, attracting more and more businesses wanting to partner up. With factories constantly increasing in number, our business was thriving and flourishing more than ever. Meanwhile, after Liu Li took her 400,000 in compensation and left Nancheng, she vanished completely without a single trace. Nobody knew where she ended up going, and no one ever brought up this past chapter ever again. 2 years later, Li Shu and I held our grand wedding ceremony, welcoming an adorable baby into our lives after getting married. Our family was complete, happy, and fulfilled.